Check this video out with Haven Bullets breaking down this information.
As you know, or if you don't know, Trump posted a racist video with the Obamas as gorillas, right? Not only that, I just noticed it a little bit. They made Michelle the dude gorilla, and I think they made like Obama like a female gorilla or orangutan or something. So not only was it racist, yeah, it's just all the way racist. And it's like also the racist thingy about Michelle Obama being a man, that weird nonsense. But that's not the issue. We know what Trump do. The issue is that Tariq Nasheed's one of his top Twitter captains and a lot of people from FBA are defending this. They're defending it, and they're defending it like this, as you can see right here with this dude. They're trying to defend it in a way by saying, well, we shouldn't care about what Trump does what Trump does with showing racist content with the Obamas. In fact, like if you look at his tweet above that, he's talking about, oh, why should we defend Obama? Look what he said. And people talking about Blue Lives Matter bill and all this other nonsense. It's like a racist attack is an attack against the race. Even if it's directed personally at somebody, it's still a racial attack. So if he's saying they're gorillas and they're monkeys, they're saying the black race is gorillas and monkeys. They're saying we're all apes. Not some of us, all of us. It doesn't matter if he's personally talking about them. A racist attack is a racial attack is an attack against the whole race. Not just people they personally directed it to or they don't like. But as you can see here, he's defending this nonsense. And when people are highlighting it and talking about it, look what he says. The fact that you use the term African American shows you're being disingenuous and disrespectful. How is the term African American, the government recognized term for black people that all black people in America acknowledge as a term for themselves, directly or indirectly? Because there's nobody, if they're black in America, you ask them, are they African American? The majority of people are going to say, yes, I'm African American. And those who don't, just ask them one question. Have you ever filled out a government form? And when that government form asked you what was your race, did you check African American? Case closed. So what's wrong with the term African American? Nothing. And then he goes on to say this. On top of that, most black Americans don't care for the Obamas. It don't matter if we don't care for the Obamas, which is not true, by the way. But let's say it was true. A racist attack is a racist attack, and it must be addressed, especially when the racist attack is coming from the most powerful person on earth, the president of the United States of America, and we live in America. We got to step to it. Like if Trump just randomly did a racist attack against Clarence Thomas, I would say something. I would call out Trump's racism. I don't care about Clarence Thomas. But I'm not going to let that racism slide of making him like a gorilla or a little monkey, because I know that's an attack on me. You calling him a monkey because people say black people are monkeys. Look, the majority of us aren't going to lose sleep over them. Malcolm warned us about you white liberals. What does this have to do with Malcolm? Also, Tariq said that Malcolm wasn't FBA. So why are you jacking Malcolm? I forgot that. I go back and forth and decide what y'all going to do when y'all want to do it. But this is like this disgusting. I just had to do this real quick. Talking about the majority of us aren't going to lose sleep over it. That doesn't make it any. Again, you're not talking about the majority of black people. You might be talking about the majority of you FBA bozos because y'all part of white supremacy. But black people care about this. Bozos like you don't. And is Tariq gonna check his his top Twitter captain? Most likely not. Tariq is just going to retweet him again when he says something about black immigrants, though. But we'll see. And I'm going to end this video here. Like, share, subscribe, drop me a comment, tell me what you think. Yeah. I think this video has gone on long enough. Like the channel, subscribe to the channel, donate.
So Nate Dogg's son did an interview, and during this interview, he revealed that Nate Dogg's brother and his mother is accusing Snoop Dogg of essentially stealing and hiding and withholding certain things from them. Nate Dogg died in 2011. He had complications from a stroke, but he left behind a pretty decent catalog. He was signed to death row for the majority of his career. Nate Dogg is a West Coast legend, but he also had a sneaky, successful mainstream career, right? He had a #1 song with 50 Cent. He had 3 top 10 hits. He had 18 songs on the top 100. So this is a pretty decent catalog that would feed your family for some time, right, after you pass away. But according to Nate Dogg's family, they have been having a tough time profiting, monetizing, eating off his catalog and his estate due to a lot of troubles they've been having, primarily within the family, but also things that are out of their control. So the first problem is the fact that Nate Dogg has 9 kids, and they all don't trust each other, and they all want to lay claim to his estate.
No, I seen 2 different interviews, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. I seen an interview with you on No Jumper, and it said you had Nate had 4 kids. But then when we keep reading, we keep seeing it's 9.
Yeah,
so I don't know what's what.
It's about 9 of us.
Okay, so it's 9 of you guys, and all of you guys are somewhat attached to that trust.
Right.
Is that why they tried to put a person in charge of that?
Right. And let me, also take it a little deeper, right? Like, we don't all agree. And I've tried to get everybody to agree. And when everybody don't agree, then everybody got attorneys, what the result is.
Everybody wasting money.
You feel me? Then we go into mediation, and it's, so, but right now it's like, we got the LOC, right? Or we got that in place, but still now we all have to pitch a manager to control the LLC, or who we feel like is best, the person for the job. And we're letting someone from the court, pretty much decide who they feel would be the best person out of everyone that we pitch.
Let Nate Dogg's story be a strong lesson for a lot of y'all. A quick Google search will tell you why it's been so easy for outsiders to come in and take certain things and split up the family. A court got to appoint somebody to make decisions because the family can't agree on nothing. That's because everybody is fending for themselves. Nate Dogg had multiple baby mamas. They're all filing for child support claims against the estate. The wife at the time was LaToya Calvin. So she got to fend off Sharita Williams, who's filing for over $300,000 in child support claims. Amina Norris filing for child support claims. Rhoda Mooten filing for child support claims. The estate is trying to make it all structured, trying to tie up the loose ends, trying to figure out where the money is. And as they're uncovering where the money is, you got the baby mama stepping. Nah, hold on. No. We need a court-appointed manager because we want to get paid for child support. And we don't trust that. Like his wife and his kids will do right by us. And we don't trust that manager who's linked to that woman and her kids will do right by us. So we want our manager who's going to, and it's like, wow. And because the family is kind of like discombobulated, it's very easy for others to step in and get involved and take certain things. And now guess what? It's all a big mess, and nothing is structured and nothing is getting done, right? And the longer they take, the more money that's going to go missing, right? Because now y'all got to pay hella money to lawyers, and they'll probably work pro bono because when that check comes, they taking their money first. So by the time y'all get the actual check, there's probably no money left because lawyer fees done ate it all up.
Why can't you be that?
I'm hella close. So I pitched my sister, right? Because my sister, she got a degree in music, and she got a degree, in
like
business,
that. I like that.
And because I don't want, everybody or anybody.
Well, if she got the information and she got a degree,
exactly.
she did all. I'm with that.
But like I said, it's 2 different sides. So a couple people, they didn't agree with that, and once they don't, everyone has to agree.
Is it
much
split up into ninths? Like I own 1/9, and then another kid own 1.
We own however much breaks down into our share, aside from what the mother or the wife got type.
So LaToya.
Okay.
Is LaToya still bringing?
No, LaToya, she's got an attorney. You know, her attorney show up, and this is what they standing on. You know, which is a part of the other side, and some people have sided with the other with her.
So now the estate is pulling in money, but so do they just divide it up?
I mean, and then distribute it. Of course the people that's controlling it, they take their cut, and you know they answering calls, dog. $250 an hour.
Listen,
you hear me?
They killing.
Hey,
y'all.
man, I know. I'm looking at. I'm probably the only one, and it's 9 of us. I'm the only one that sit back. I got this shit in my living room right now on my table. I can just pick this up, and I'm seeing everything we being charged for it.
Go to sleep, Donald. It's not going to get much better for you. Just go to sleep. Donald Trump ranting and raving like a lunatic at 1 a.m. What was he posting? Weird polls from Rasmussen claiming that his immigration policies are better than former President Biden. Yeah, Donald, I'm sure we trust Rasmussen. And this is what you're thinking about at 1 a.m.? Former President Biden is still in your head. Guess what, Donald? Your overall approval rating is much worse than former President Biden. Donald, you have the worst approval rating in modern presidential history, and it's not looking good. I mean, look at some of these pathetic messages that Donald Trump was posting at 1 a.m. also. He's sending emails like this to his supporters to scam them out of more money. Respectfully, do you still love me? Message from the 47th POTUS. I might be overthinking things. Here's why. My love language is MAGA, Donald Trump writes, and I need to confirm one last thing with you before I hit the hay. Do me a favor, take my poll, and please don't forget to answer question number 2. I miss you. Take 30 seconds, please, to share your thoughts. Final 12 hours to take the poll. Then when you click it, you give him thousands of dollars. And then when you click something that you think is like checking the box that you've read everything, you double the payment to him and make it recurring. So then he's like literally like engaged in elder abuse or, you know, scamming his supporters in general, taking thousands of dollars from them. And I get why he's up late, ranting and raving like a lunatic. The Epstein files, 38,000 references to Donald Trump's name, more references to Donald than there is references to Harry in the Harry Potter book, more references to Donald than Jesus in the Bible. And Trump is mentioned in some of the most grotesque ways. And there's even much more questions. I don't even think there's questions anymore, really, when it comes to the narrative that Jeffrey Epstein died by suicide. I think we can pretty much rule that out. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but when you take a look at the timeline of what happened, I mean, I'll give you an example. In addition to the recent data that there was someone in an orange jumpsuit that was on the cameras like an hour before Epstein died, and that was removed from the official narrative. Did you know that one of the ways that Epstein allegedly died by suicide was he hung himself, they said, with a noose, but the noose was never recovered. And instead they took a photo of like the orange jumpsuit tied in a knot, but that's not what was used to hang Epstein. There was an actual noose that's never been recovered. And that's in the Epstein files. I mean, did you know that? I mean, learning more details about the guy they put in with Epstein. I mean, someone who was a quadruple murderer, someone by the name of Nicholas Tartaglione, whose MO was that he kills people involved in child sex trafficking, and they moved him to be with Epstein. He's since filed a petition saying that he wants Donald Trump to pardon or commute his sentence, and says that the reason that he was moved next to Epstein was to kill him, although he was taken out purportedly a few days before Epstein died. But take a look at what we uncovered at the Midas Touch Network, and I think this is a big finding. So Epstein died August 10th. But Trump's DOJ prepared the press release regarding Epstein's death on August 9th. Let me repeat that. The draft press release regarding Epstein's death was created the day before Epstein died. on Friday. Epstein died Saturday, August 10th. And on the draft press release, it made no reference to dying by apparent suicide. It just said pronounced dead. Let me show you what they prepared for Epstein regarding his death the day before he died. And how did we get this? These drafts we uncovered in the Epstein files that were produced. So you'll see on top, Friday, August 9th, 2019. So if this was just some typo, the typo would have to be Friday instead of Saturday, August 9th instead of August 10th. Those are two significant things, not just the date itself. Statement of Manhattan U.S. Attorney on the death of defendant Jeffrey Epstein. This was prepared a day before Epstein died. Manhattan U.S. Attorney Jeffrey Berman said earlier this morning, the Manhattan Correctional Center confirmed that Jeffrey Epstein, who faced charges brought by this office of engaging in sex trafficking of minors, had been found unresponsive in his cell and pronounced dead shortly thereafter. Today's events are disturbing, and we are deeply aware of their potential to present yet another hurdle to giving Epstein's many victims their day in court. To those brave young women who have already come forward, and to the many others who have yet to do so, let me reiterate that we remain committed to standing for you in our investigation of the conduct charged in the indictment, which included a conspiracy count, remains ongoing. Oh, yeah, and by the way, you know that the key footage right around the time of Epstein's death, that part was deleted. We now know that someone in an orange jumpsuit seems to have been there right before. And then the cameras are deleted. The officers did not go where they were supposed to go. And then they basically pled guilty to lying in the reports, and then in order for them to give statements here. But this is the official one. The day later, when Epstein died, Saturday, August 10th, 2019. This is not the draft. And you'll see they add one word here where they say Manhattan U.S. Attorney Jeffrey Berman said earlier this morning, the Manhattan Correctional Center confirmed that Jeffrey Epstein, who faced charges brought by this office of engaging in sex trafficking of minors, had been found unresponsive in his cell and was pronounced dead shortly thereafter of an apparent suicide. So on August 9th, this was already done as though he had died the day before. You see what happened? And then they added apparent suicide thereafter. We're still going to be digging in, of course, on this. And I think our reporting is leading the way. You can tell me what you think. But we are laser focused on this, and we are not going to let it go. Another important development that has Donald Trump up all night. Democrat Chastity Martinez in Louisiana won easily Louisiana House District 60, a special election, defeating Republican Brad Daigle and holding the seat. But here's an important point. Trump carried this exact House district in Louisiana by 13 points. So Republicans were hoping this was going to be their first flip, because Democrats have flipped all these special elections across the country. You know how every week or 2 weeks I'm doing these reports? Remember last weekend I did the report on Texas State Senate District 9? Democrats have won every flip. Republicans thought this was a chance because Trump won this plus 13. This was basically a plus 39, plus 40 Democrat overperformance. Remember, last week's State Senate District number 9 was a plus 31 Democrat overperformance. Democrats are overperforming now, plus 31, plus 40, plus 20. So any of these Republican House districts, again, this was a state race in Louisiana, but as we talk about the midterms, this blue tsunami can be the biggest blue tsunami ever. Because if you're plus 20, plus 25, you could lose if you're a Republican right now, because the country hates you because you're screwing everybody over. And I think Democratic Senator Ossoff in Georgia put it perfectly. Did you see the speech we covered on the Midas Touch Network? He was giving an incredible speech, and this was just pitch perfect. He says, whatever happened to that don't tread on me crowd? Wasn't MAGA the don't tread on me crowd? Watch Senator Ossoff here. It's brilliant. It's presidential. It's A+. Let's play this clip.
They don't have to identify themselves. They don't have to explain why you've been stopped. Film them and they tell you you've been added to a terrorist watch list. A Republican congressman running for Senate in Texas said, quote, when a federal officer gives you instructions, he said, You abide by them and you get to keep your life. Obey the federal government, they tell us, or die. What happened to don't tread on me? And by the way, if you're carrying a firearm, the Trump administration said they have license to kill you. Are there any principled constitutional conservatives left in the United States?
And then Senator Ossoff said, we were told that MAGA was for working class. Turns out they're just for the Epstein class. The Epstein class. Nailed it. Here, play this clip.
Now, you remember, we were told that MAGA was for working class Americans. You remember that? But this is a government of, by, and for the ultra rich. It is the wealthiest cabinet ever. This is the Epstein class ruling our country. They are the elites they pretend to hate. So prices are up, jobs are going away, Medicaid and school lunches are slashed, nursing homes are getting defunded. If you're Steve Bannon and your pitch was Trump for the forgotten man and woman, how do you sell any of this? Trump was supposed to fight for the working class. Instead, he's literally closing rural clinics and hospitals to cut taxes for George Soros and Elon Musk. He was supposed to end the globalist world police foreign policy. Instead, we're doing war for oil and nation building again and threatening to conquer Greenland. He was supposed to drain the swamp.
All right, peace and love. Good morning. Welcome to the Brother Garfield podcast, the home of the Dagger Squad. This is your brother Garfield, or Garfield, whatever you want to call me. And I want to say something before we move forward, right? Every Sunday, I try to do a mixture of what's going on in the world, and I talk a little about religion or whatever. But this is Black History Month, right? And usually, I do my 20 for 20 or whatever. And I was going to do something for 28 days. I was going to show like the best compilation. I was actually going to show the Amin Ra Squad's last interview ever as a group for Black History Month. And I think one of the things that affects us in Black History Month is anti-intellectualism. Anti-intellectualism is where we want everything to be black. We were the only people on the planet. All the British kings were black. All the kings in Europe for the 800 years, the Dark Ages, was black. Why do we teach this? I don't get this, and I really don't. I don't get this at all. And one of the things that's very troubling is that we don't respect other cultures. We want everybody to be black. Jesus is black. Moses is black. Paul looked like an Egyptian. So everybody's black. It seems like facts don't matter when it comes to information. It's all about our personal goals. So I'm gonna read something that I posted on Facebook. And I want everybody to pay attention to what I'm saying. I'm not the most intelligent guy, but I do have some very thought-provoking posts on my Facebook timeline. Let's take a look at this. It says, it's Black History Month, and this might be hard to hear. Chosenness, Jew, Hebrew, Israelite is a literary theological idea, an author's claim rooted in real tradition. Let me repeat that. This might be hard to hear. Chosenness, meaning to be a Jew, a Hebrew, or Israelite, I'm chosen by God, is a literary theological idea, an author's claim rooted in a real tradition. Watch this. Did Israelites exist? Yes. That doesn't make Abraham or Jacob real characters. Their job is to explain why things exist in your belief or religion. Same for Helene, same for Medusa with the Medes, same for Perseus with the Persians, same for Romulus with the Romans. If you notice, the names Perseus is where Persia comes from. Medusa is where Medes the name come from. And I'm, of course, pronouncing it in English, of course. Now, look at what I said in the rest of the text. I said many cultures had it. Greek, Assyrian, etc. Had what? Had chosenness. You see, I'm going to get back to a matter of fact, you know what? I'm reading the wrong post first. I'm sorry. Let me go further down to an earlier post so that we could all be in sync. A lot of my peoples in the conscious community are mad about this post because I'm giving the Bible props. But you need to pay attention to the words. It says, the Old Testament, the Hebrew Bible, is one of the most influential and well-compiled collections of writings in human history. Let me repeat that. The Old Testament, the Hebrew Bible, is one of the most influential and well-compiled collections of writings in human history. Why? Because a text compiled over more than 2,200 years has convinced 4 to 5 billion people that its prophecies could still matter today, that a Messiah could return at any moment. What makes this even more remarkable is that these writings came from a people who lived as a vassal kingdom under major empires, whether it's Egypt, Assyria, Babylon, Persia, with later Greek influence. Their texts absorbed and reshaped the literary styles, idioms, and cultural frameworks of those civilizations, yet ultimately outlived them. Let me repeat that part. Their texts absorbed and reshaped the literary styles, idioms, and cultural frameworks of those civilizations, yet ultimately outlived them. Today, people are not debating or fighting over the sacred texts of Egypt, Babylon, or Persia on a global scale, but they are over the Hebrew Bible. The point isn't whether the stories are literally true. It's that the writers and editors who compiled these texts created something extraordinarily powerful and enduring. Regardless of belief, you have to put respect on that. Peace. Now, a lot of people in the conscious community might be saying, well, Garfield, are you giving them? Listen to the words. There's no book. You got 5 billion people trapped in this book right now, waiting for a Messiah, thinking God is coming back. They ain't fighting over no Egyptian text. Jabari, you out of here. They ain't fighting over no Babylonian text. All you fake Sumerians, we out of here. They're not fighting over those Persian texts. Ain't nobody say, yo, I got, we gonna start a war based on a Persian prophecy. No, we gonna start a war based on an African spiritual system, prophetic or prediction that was made in the African systems. Nobody's fighting wars. We went to Iraq. President Bush said, the second President Bush, he said he prayed on it. These people are trying to destroy Israel. Why is Israel an issue? Because the Israel it's propped up because of the Hebrew Bible. And we're all suckered in because we got colonized by people that believe that. So at the end of the day now, I said, okay, Garfield, you in a writing mood. Let's see what else you got popping. Let's scroll up now to the next post. It's Black History Month. And that might be hard to hear. Chosenness, Jew, Hebrew, Israelite, is a literary theological idea and author's claim rooted in a real tradition. Many cultures had it. What did many cultures have? They had a chosen God where a king was chosen or somebody in the army was chosen. They didn't have a people that was chosen, though. That's the difference. The person who wrote the Hebrew Bible took this literary genre and said, here, what? I'm going to make us chosen instead of just the king or this person. We're going to make the people chosen. That's what the Bible writers did. Many cultures had it, Greek, Assyrian, etc. Whether anyone today can prove who is a true Jew or argue by skin color is basically impossible. And beside the point, our worth isn't handed down by a label. It's built by what we do. So this month, Forget the race to be chosen. Choose yourself. Learn, build, uplift, execute, do it right, do it well. Peace. So, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of people upset. For the Bible believers, I just propped up and said the Old Testament is one of the most influential books. I didn't say it was real, it was true. It was the most influential book ever in history. It is. We can't get around that. Islam is built upon the Hebrew Bible. Christianity is built upon the Hebrew Bible. Whether we believe it's true or not, we have to go find a way to go around them. But if we want to do something on a mass level, you have to align with Christianity or the Hebrew Bible. I'm telling you, you're going to lose. The president of the United States believes in the Bible, believes in the stories. The person who is ruling your country right now some people believe he's ordained by God. So you can't get around that, no matter what. But what I want to say about anti-intellectualism, which is the last post I'm going to talk about. Anti-intellectualism is ruling our communities. No matter if you're the most intelligent brother with a master's degree, it doesn't matter if you have a PhD. It seems like anti-intellectualism is thus the ruling thought within our own communities. We like to say things without proof. We like to look at hold on a second. I'm gonna read my Black history. I said anti-intellectualism is rampant in less than 1% of the Black population. That number is pretty much off. Those who teach King James was Black and Europe was ruled by Black kings for 1,000 years, etc., still in 2026. But this is my Black History Month note and message to everybody who is Black American. And I want to say that I appreciate you, first of all, whether you claim you're Black American, African American, or one of these sub-names. I want to say I appreciate my African American brothers and sisters. I said, when you really step back and look at what Black Americans have accomplished against all odds, it is nothing short of remarkable. From figures like Moses Dixon and Nat Turner to the Great Revolts to Black Wall Street, and not just one, but several Black Wall Streets and thriving Black towns like those in Oklahoma, their history is filled with resilience and brilliance. All of this happened in the face of racism, white supremacy, redlining, mass incarceration, economic sabotage, and systematic exclusion. And yet here we are, to still be standing today, to be able to break cycles, to be off drugs, to be living full lives, to own homes, to own businesses, to build communities, to raise families, and to see Black women leading the nation as the highest group of college graduates. That alone speaks volumes. The Black American experience is not a story of failure. It is a story of endurance, creativity, resistance, and triumph. It's something we should all recognize, honor, and be proud of. And I mean every single word that I just said. The African American experience is one of resilience, and it's true. And I want to take the time out to say Black History Month is every month. It's not just February, it's every month, because the struggle continues. When I spoke about anti-intellectualism, I want to point out the African History Network is one of the biggest propagandists of Black anti-intellectualism. Way before Columbus, ancient Malayans sailed to the Americans in 1311. There's no evidence of this. There's no evidence of this. There's absolutely no evidence at all. But what happened is it sounds good and he sells his programs, so we should agree with it. We're selling something. We know Black King James is not Black. We know this. But to believe he's Black, you're trying to carve a niche to make yourself unique. To say, I am better. I know more than you. No, you don't. And we don't know the British and the Scottish and the Wales culture. And we'll read books like When the Negro Rulers of Scotland and all that foolishness. Stupid books. We want to read all these books to act like we're more intelligent. But I do want to take a step back and say something about Christianity. Christianity, the people who are true Christians really believe what they believe. is not a Johnny-come-lately religion. It's something that they grew up under, where scholarship is now backing not the miracles, but backing it with history and archaeology. But the problem is, the reality of the biblical text, a lot of people can't hold to, because guess what? We know a man wrote the stories. Why are they writing prophecies? There'll be wars and rumors of wars. Let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. 5,000 years from now, you're going to hear somebody say there's wars and rumors of wars. It don't mean Jesus is coming back. It's your belief. Somebody wrote that. And this is what makes the Bible so unique, because the writers wrote something that's everlasting. You will never get rid of the Bible. And this is one of the things I had to grow up with 10 years ago. You'll never get rid of the Bible. You'll never get the Bible, even though I don't believe 100% in what it says as far as what I can confirm. Everything is based off faith. Not everything, but some things are based on faith. And it's just a reality. It's just like we said, Jeremiah and Ezekiel talks about prophecy, right? And we talk about prophecy. They prophesied that Nebuchadnezzar was going to go into Egypt, destroy Egypt, and enslave them and send them back into slavery and all that stuff, right? Ladies and gentlemen, that has not been verified at all anywhere in archaeology or history. So that would make Jeremiah and Ezekiel false prophets based off of the Deuteronomy 18 verses 18 to 22. They're false prophets, and we shouldn't listen to anything that they say. But I say that to say this: it's imperfect. We're trying to make an imperfect text perfect, and that's what's wrong with the biblical text. It's imperfect in many ways. I could point out a million things, but the point is, Christians are forever going to be Christians. You can't take that away from them. You can't take that. As far as the black experience, almost 99% of the stuff that's progressive was done by black Christians. This is why I don't understand why Hebrew Israelites are saying, they integrated us into America, and talk all this stuff. But you on YouTube, which is owned and operated by white folks, you on Facebook, you on Twitter, you on TikTok, you on Clubhouse, you on all these places where white folks dominate, own, and control. But you're complaining about what the church did to integrate you into society when you're living a fully integrated life and progressing. It's hypocrisy. But I got a couple of videos I want to play. And the first one that I want to play is this one about missionaries. This is where I have a problem with Christians. Why are you going to these people's house? Hold on. Why are you going to these people in the Panera Indians to convince them that they need to follow Jesus, to the point where the people change their oral tradition? And by the way, too, pay attention to this story, because I'm going to say this, and this might get a lot of Christians upset. You created the Hebrew Israelites. You created the Hebrew Indian theory. You know why? Because everywhere Christians went, they said, oh, you the lost tribes, the missionaries. And they translated people's indigenous stories to fit the biblical narrative. So when you're arguing with the Hebrew Israelites and they say, oh, the Indians they said it in this and that, and their story is close to the Noah's flood story, and they got characters like Noah, blame yourself. Look in the mirror, Christians. You created the monster. You didn't have a right to go to people's cultures and rewrite it. You didn't. The arrogance to think that you're the only people on the planet that have a story. That's the arrogance of those missionary Christians. I'm not saying all Christians are the same and they're right. But just to let you know, Christians, I'm talking to my brothers and sisters in the black community, urban apologists, and far and large, most of the folks that debate are on YouTube or in the world of urban apology. The Christians are the ones that went into America and told the Indians that they are Israelites, they're lost tribes of Israel. The Jews that went here also propagated that. And in fact, the Jews used that storyline to get back into England. This is why they wanted, because they want to say that the Messianic age is coming. You need to bring the Jews back together. So that's why they wanted to get back into England to make more money. That's a reality we can't get away from. So pay attention to this story.
I learned something new today. Let's talk about the Paner Indians. Now, the Paner Indians had been living in isolation for centuries in the jungles of the northern Amazon. They resisted outsiders and they clung to their ancient ways and customs. Most of the world barely even knew about them until a documentary came out about them. Christian missionaries saw the documentary and thought that it'd be a great idea to go to the Paner Indians and try to convert them to Christianity. Missionaries flew to the Amazon, landed, claimed peace, and they were welcomed. But not long after they got there, they went right into their plan to try to get these people to be God-fearing Christians. The dumbass missionaries forgot one crucial thing that might hinder them: the language barrier. They didn't even have a word in their language that was synonymous with the word guilt. And guilt is like the #1 thing in Christianity, along with words like sinful and evil. So it was hard for the missionaries to get the Paner Indians to give a fuck about any of this. I mean, the Paner Indians' spirituality system predated Christianity by thousands of years. So they had no concept of these mystical places like heaven and hell, nor did they believe in a devil or a lake of fire. So the missionaries were failing to convert, and that just could not be. So the missionaries got the brilliant idea to just rewrite the Bible. I wish I was kidding. They rewrote it to make it fit the Paner Indians' belief system. And get this, they got permission from the Pope. They called it the New Paner Translation, and they removed any mentions of Judas or the Jews and all of the Romans and just replaced it with the Paner Indians. They changed it so that now it was the Paner Indians who crucified Jesus. So the missionaries told the Paner Indians that because they did that, God was mad at them, was going to take everyone, men, women, children, animals, and burn them all in a big fire. And the missionaries told them that in order for God to save them, they would have to commit their minds, bodies, and souls forever to God and to the church. And so they renounced their centuries-old belief system and took up Christianity. I don't know the best part about this story? This was in 1976. Not 1876, not 1476, 1976. The really fucked up part about all of this is there are so many other stories just like this. That's why anytime that I hear a story about a missionary going to a place they weren't supposed to go to and they get killed out there, I feel zero sympathy for them. That's what your fucking ass get. You shouldn't have been over there to begin with. Leave those people alone.
Sound and Logical TV. Don't forget to click like.
Let's talk about the Paner Indians. Now, the Paner Indians had been living in isolation for centuries.
Now, I replayed this for a reason. Native Americans didn't know nothing about no Bible or no story. This is the people who teach that the Native Americans are Indians. And no matter what archaeology we bring, no matter what anthropology, they're going to fly to Puerto Rico, they're going to fly to different places to look for documents and say there was Hebrew writings. They find out it's not Hebrew writings. What are we doing, people? Now, where's this Akan crazy guy in the chat? Where's he at? Where's that crazy guy, that idiot that I threw off the panel? Let me explain something to everybody right now. And my intention is never to disrespect, but to teach. It's never to disrespect. When I look at people like Zion Lex, Divine Prospect, Priest Danya Allah, Captain Tazariak, Joel from SOT, my brother Corey, all the people that believe in this doctrine, whether they are Hebrew Israelites or Hebrew, you got to understand something that's very important here, right? Hold on, Sabi, I'm not bringing on anybody yet. We got to understand something that's very important. What it is, ladies and gentlemen, the Christians had the best game in town. Oh, let me respond to something that my brother Cedric says right here. Let me respond to something that Cedric wrote. Either it's full of shit or it's great. Make up our mind. We can't say it's great. No. It's great as far as compilation and putting a storyline together. It's better than what the other ancient cultures did because it's surviving. People are killing and people are starting wars based off of text. 4 to 5 billion people following it, expecting somebody to return. That's why it's great. Not that the stories are true. We need to differentiate both of them. It's two different conversations. Just want to make that clear. All right. Now, I want to say this. As a matter of fact, you know what? Let me put the link back in the chat and let me pin it. Pin the link on YouTube. I'll get to my Akan guy in a second, right? I'll get to the crazy part in a second. Now watch this. I want to hold on, let me go to YouTube real quickly. YouTube. Hold on a second here. Where are we at? Garfield podcast. Hold on 1 second, family. Where are we at? Garfield podcast. Hold on 1 second, family. Where are we at? All right, cool. Hold on 1 second, family. All right, cool. And by the way, on everybody's channel you watch, you will hear some bias towards how they think and how they feel. I'll say this. You won't find another channel that will tell you the truth more than I do. I have no bias either way. I'm not biased against the Bible. I'm not biased for the Bible. I'm just telling you straight shooter down the middle. If it's BS, it's BS. What they did with the Paneer and Indian Bible is total BS. It's total BS. Total. All right? All right. Let me what should I do here? Let me take this off. Let me take that off. You're sick in the head, Garfield. I heard you in the beginning. Shout out to my brothers and sisters, man. I love y'all no matter what. Anyway, Captain Tariq has been concerned about me talking about him. But I keep getting all these videos. Shout out to Sabio. Shout out to all my Christian brothers who sent me this video. But this is a video of him going back and forth with a couple of Christians. And apparently, he's losing the conversation. I don't know. Let's listen.
12:13, right?
Right.
Okay. So then in Numbers, when he sent fiery serpents, was that from Yahweh?
Yes, everything is.
Well, then, whoa. 1 Corinthians 10:9.
Bring it out.
Do not test Christ as they tested him in the wilderness, and he destroyed them with serpents.
Can I get the verse?
You just said that was Yahweh.
No.
Christ sent serpents.
I'm just asking for the verse in Corinthians.
What?
Like you see how I read both verses?
Yeah.
I'm asking for the verse in Corinthians.
All right, let's read the verse.
Right.
Bring it out. Let's get the verse.
Can you call out the scripture, please?
Yeah, 1 Corinthians.
So
I'll start in verse 7, then I'll move my way up.
No, what chapter?
1 Corinthians 10:7.
All right.
1 Corinthians 10:7. Let's read.
Do not be idolaters, as some of them were, as it is written. The people sat down to eat and drink and rose up to play. Verse 8, we must not indulge in the sexual morality as some of them did. And the 23,000 fell in a single day. Verse 9, we must not put Christ to the test as some of them did and were destroyed by serpents. Where'd you get the crown?
What does that have to do with this?
I'm just curious. Where'd you get it?
You could never get one.
Where'd you get it from?
You're talking about the crown because you're getting
Where'd
cut.
you get
You can never get it. Why are we talking about my hair?
Jesus is God. 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 Jesus is God.
There's so many scriptures. Matthew 19:17, he said, why callest thou me good? There's none good but one, that is God. He never said two.
Is Jesus good?
I can call him good. So then what did he say? What did he say about himself? Look. I'm glad. Listen, give him a hand. I'm glad I could teach.
Even Christians, when they pray, y'all say in the name of Jesus. Even Israelites, when we pray, we say in the name of Jesus because he's the mediator of the New Testament. Before Christ, we would do everything according to Moses. Moses was the mediator before Christ. So when you say that, Lord, Lord, that's all that it is.
Hold up. Wait a minute. It would be blasphemy to say in the name of Moses because he's not God.
That's not the point. Y'all are so literal.
In John 20:17, did he not say, I go to my father and your father? Right. I go to my God and your God?
Yeah, why though? See, you gotta let me break that down because this is what you was bringing up earlier, and I wanted to break this down to you. The Bible says in Jeremiah 32:27, he says that God is the God of all flesh, right? In the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was. So the Word is God, and what happened to the Word? He became flesh. So that means that the Father is the God of his flesh, All right. So that's why Jesus can say in his flesh that I have a God over me. Not that he himself is a separate God or that he's not God in the same sense the Father is. So he submits to the Father, and by his humanity, the Father is his God. That's the context of that. You've got to take it all in Scripture.
Old Testament written in Hebrew. Go to places like Psalm 109:21. It says Adonai Yahweh. Ezekiel 37:21. It says Adonai Yahweh. That was translated into the Greek Septuagint. What did they translate it as? Kyrie, Kyrie, Lord, Lord. Now here's the problem. In all the Greek texts from the time of Jesus and prior, no one calls themselves Kyrie, Kyrie, except one person. Who that? Jesus, Luke 6:46. He says, why do you call me Kyrie, Kyrie and not do what I tell you? Therefore, he is saying, I am Adonai Yahweh.
So when it says in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, that's the word there for God is power. It's not making him God. It's not. It's just that simple. Otherwise, when it talks about the angels and you see that word Elohim, I guess they're gods too. But when I brought out Psalms 82:6, which uses the same word Elohim, he said, no, that's not God, because that word is used to describe prince, angel, messenger, ruler, judges, authority, judges, all of that. When the Holy Spirit, when he got baptized, what was the voice that spoke to him? Was that the Father? Yeah. And what's the Father? God, based on 1 Corinthians, right?
That's right.
So Christ wasn't talking to himself, right?
He's talking to the Father.
So that's God, right?
Yeah.
So show me where Christ called himself God.
So before I'll get to that. Just 1 second, because you brought up John 1:1 again, like you was responding to it.
And so for the record, when I say God, I mean the Most High God.
Absolutely. We'll show that in a second. But when you're talking about the Most High God, who's creator of all things and all these things, right? He himself is uncreated. He doesn't have a beginning or an end. But when it comes to the word, it says not only that he's God, so he's not just God in the sense that he's like an angel or prince or ruler, that type of thing, but he's God, the creator of all things of heaven and earth. How do we know this? Because in verse 3, it says about the word who is God, it says that through him all things were made. And without him, anything that was made through him. Without him, there was not anything made that was made. You believe, you agree that Jesus is the word, right? He's the word of God.
He's
okay,
definitely the word.
So Jesus,
he's the word of what?
The word of God, right?
So there's a God, and then there's a
God
word.
The Father,
yeah, he just cut himself.
I guess, but when it says the word is God, we cut ourselves. Huh? He admitted that Jesus is the word. It says
that word God is power, though. That word is not the Most High.
So let's talk about this then. If the word is God, right? Was the word made?
Yes.
Okay, so it literally says that apart from him, without him, nothing made was made without him. So everything that was made, everything that came into existence through the word. So did the word come into existence through the word? It says that all things were made through him, and nothing that was made without him. So if he himself is made, you have to say that Jesus Christ was made through Jesus Christ. I want to hear you say it. Say it.
You done?
Yeah, I want to hear you say it. Say Jesus Christ was made through Jesus Christ.
That's probably like the first genuine laugh you got about me. Because the Father gave Christ the power to do that.
To do what?
To create all things.
Did he give him the power to create himself?
He didn't have to create himself because the Father. This is so idiotic. The Father, he didn't have to. When I'm saying they didn't have to create himself, I'm talking about the Most High.
No, you said Jesus didn't have to create himself.
No, because the Father created him.
But wait, hold on. It says that all things that were made through him.
Except him.
Where does it say that?
It doesn't say he created himself. Where does it say he created himself? That must be swine.
Hey man,
that gotta be pork you cooking. That gotta be pork.
Precept. Give me a precept, man. Give me a precept.
That gotta be pork you cooking though.
I need a precept.
Because there's no scripture that he created himself. He did not create himself.
Wait. If there's no scripture that says that he created himself, right? So that means he always existed.
No, he did not.
Created. Was all things made through Jesus?
By the Most High.
Okay, so all things
like 1 Corinthians 8 say it.
So all things by the Most High was created through Jesus. Was Jesus created?
By the Most High.
So then that would mean that Jesus, by the Most High, was created through Jesus by the Most High.
I feel sorry for you Christians, man.
I feel sorry for you Hebrew Israelites, man.
Knicks traded Gershon Yabusele to the Bulls for Dalen Terry.
Yahweh's the Most High, right?
Yes.
Hosea 12:13, right?
Right.
Okay. So then in Numbers, when he sent fiery serpents, was that from Yahweh?
Yes, everything is.
Well,
from
then,
the Most High.
whoa. 1 Corinthians 10:9.
Bring it out.
Do not test Christ as they tested him in the wilderness, and he destroyed them with serpents.
Can I get the verse?
You just said that was Yahweh.
No.
Christ sent serpents.
I'm just asking for the verse in Corinthians.
What?
Like, you see how I read both verses?
Yeah.
I'm asking for the verse in Corinthians.
All right, let's read the verse.
Right.
Bring it out. Let's get the verse.
Can you call out the scripture, please?
Yeah, 1 Corinthians.
Uh-huh.
I'll start in verse 7, then I'll move my way up.
No, what chapter?
1 Corinthians 10:7.
All right.
1 Corinthians 10:7. Let's read.
Do not be idolaters, as some of them were.
I ain't gonna lie to y'all, bruh. What's been going on with Jay-Z as of lately is starting to make me feel uncomfortable. It's starting to make me feel like uneasy inside. Something nasty and odd is going on here. I just can't put my fingers on it. We all, for the most part, at varying degrees, believe or don't believe, these Jay-Z and Epstein rumors. Bickering among ourselves on whether or not we believe these Jay-Z and Epstein rumors in the Epstein files is one thing. But when a white man put on a suit and starts slow talking and accusing you of things this horrific, that's another story.
We are now bringing you the raw, unfiltered testimony of a woman who stared into the abyss of elite depravity and lived to speak of it. In the heart of Nigeria, far from the red carpets and sold-out arenas, she explains how a world-famous American music icon has turned her land into his private hunting ground. Human safaris, satanic blood rites, trafficking networks that feed on the darkest appetites of the global elite. These are not rumors whispered in back alleys. They are the lived nightmares of survivors who have escaped, and the silent graves of those who did not.
I'm a mother, a widow, and a survivor who's dedicated my life to helping other victims here in Nigeria. I speak plainly because the truth can't hide behind fancy words anymore. The American music star everyone treats like a god, Jay-Z, is no hero. He's a predator. He's been coming to Nigeria for years. First with Jeffrey Epstein on those private jets, then alone.
A lot of people already know this, but if you guys don't know, a celebrity's worst nightmare is getting caught in British tabloids. These people are professional liars, but their accents and how they enunciate and articulate themselves will make you think they're actual professional reporters, when in fact, they're just trolls and liars. Ask Meghan Markle. These people will lie you with no shame. Right? Where does this African woman come from? What's her name? What organization is she with? What's her experience with Jay-Z? How does she know these things? I'll be real, bro. I'm teetering on this is AI or this is a paid actor, because it doesn't make sense whatsoever, right? And why I'm teetering on AI, because if this was an interview or a conversation, then why don't we hear anybody else's voice other than that lady's voice? It doesn't make sense whatsoever. But she will go on to say that Jay-Z is a predator, that he came on the planes with Epstein. How do you know that Jay-Z came on flights with Epstein? Like, what's your expertise? I don't know, right? Because if this random woman in Africa knows that Jay-Z and Epstein landed in Africa together, then why don't the world know yet, right? It doesn't make sense whatsoever. But she will go on to continue to accuse Jay-Z of some of the most horrific things, right? Such as blood sacrifices, among other things.
Then with other celebrities, actors, singers, billionaires, they don't come for music, charity, or culture. They come to hunt children, child safaris. What if foreigners pay big money to chase our children through the bush like animals? They shoot for fun. When the hunt ends, the real evil starts. Satanic rituals, blood ceremonies, bodies used in depraved ways I can't bring myself to repeat.
I'm not supporting that. I don't know if that's true. Again, y'all know I only watch videos when certain things are on. Now, let me address this gentleman a second, real quickly. All right, the Akan guy. For those who are in Africa, I don't support anti-intellectualism, but let me just read a chapter from my upcoming book just to make a point. And the book is called, let me tell you what the book is called. Jacob, the eponymous ancestor. All right. What historians mean by historical. Could have existed versus historically recoverable. In everyday conversation, when people ask whether someone like Jacob was real, they usually mean, could a person like this have lived? But historians are asking a much stricter question. Can this figure be recovered by historical method? In ancient history, possible and historical are not the same thing. Many figures could have existed. Romulus could have existed. Minos could have existed. Hercules could have existed. But historians do not treat them as historical persons because they are not anchored by evidence. They exist only in later literary traditions whose function is to explain identity, not to report events. Let me say that again. And this is a class right now for everybody. Call your favorite Israelite, because they won't teach their congregation this. So invite 10 of your friends to listen to this. This is called a methodology. How you talk about somebody existing or not. Is the person could have existed versus historically recoverable. Now, it said Romulus, Minos, Hercules could have existed, but historians do not treat them as historical persons because, why? They are not anchored by evidence. They exist only in later literary traditions whose function is to explain identity, not to report events. So historians use a stricter category. It's called a historically recoverable person is one whose existence and context can be supported by independent controls beyond later storytelling. What counts as historical evidence in the ancient world? In practice, historians look for anchors such as contemporary or near contemporary inscriptions. 2, administrative records or royal annals. 3, mentions in multiple independent sources. 4, archaeological contexts that tightly fit a specific claim. 5, stable and verifiable chronological placement. For example, Sennacherib, the Assyrian king, is historical because we have Assyrian inscriptions, reliefs, and synchronisms. Nebuchadnezzar II is historical because we have Babylonian records, building inscriptions, and dated documents. By contrast, and don't get funny with me right now while y'all listening, I get personal, I get emotional. I want you to listen, people to listen and to learn how to, when we're having this argument from the conscious community or we're having this from a Bible position, Bible person position. And for the record, biggest titan, you do know that was a mistranslation. It says the land of Abraham, not Abraham. It says the field of Abraham, just to be correct. And it's not written on the walls of Egypt. Jonathan Owens debunked this years ago, over 10 years ago. It had to do with a translation, how they translate the word. All right, just relax. You see, this is what we spew all the time on YouTube and all that stuff because nobody is able to fact check, but I know better. But anyway, by contrast, Jacob appears only in much later literary tradition without any external attestation, inscription, or contemporary reference. That does not automatically prove he did not exist, but it does mean the entire burden of proof rests on the nature and function of the text itself. A critical mistake many people make is assuming that if a text is religious, it must be trying to write history. But ancient cultures did not write history the way modern historians do. They wrote origin stories, foundation legends, charter myth, theological narratives, identity genealogies. These are not lies. They are identity literature. So the first question historians ask, is this sacred? But what kind of literature is this? The difference between chronicle and origin myth. All right, I'm not even going to go into all of this, but you know what? Actually, I do. The difference between chronicle and origin myth, a chronicle tries to say this happened, then this happened, then this happened. An origin myth or national saga tries to say this is who we are, this is where we came from, this is why the world looks like this. Genesis belongs overwhelmingly to the second category. It is filled with name explanations, place name explanations, people group explanations, relationship explanations, status explanations. This kind of literature is called etiological. An etiological story explains why something is the way it is now by telling a story about the past. The historical critical method, when scholars analyze figures like Jacob, they are using the same method used for all ancient literature: source criticism, form criticism, redaction criticism, traditional history. This is not anti-Bible bias. It is standard ancient historiography. The key question this book is asking, this book is not asking, did Jacob exist in some abstract sense? It is asking, is Jacob functioning in Genesis as a historical individual or as a literary symbolic ancestor used to explain Israel's identity? To answer that, we must first understand what kind of text is Genesis. All right. Let me scroll through that. Let me go to chapter 3. What is an eponymous ancestor? An eponymous ancestor is a figure whose name functions as the origin label of a people, place, or group. The ancestor is not primarily a biological progenitor. Rather, the ancestor is a story form of the group itself. Examples from the ancient world are everywhere. Ashur is the name for the Assyrians. Aram is for the Arameans. Moab for the Moabites. Ammon for the Ammonites. Helen for the Hellenes, the Greeks. Romulus for the Romans. No historian treats these figures as literal biological fathers of entire nations. They are personifications of collective identity. Let me say it again. Ashur, Aram, Moab, Ammon, Helen, Romulus. No historian treats these figures as literal biological fathers of entire nations. They are personifications of collective identity. An eponym is not the man who started the people. An eponym is the people told as a man. So the people of Israel existed. So in rewriting their history now, they actually made Jacob the person that is the progenitor of the Israelites, writing the story after. So they're explaining where the people come from by using Jacob. So that's the etiological effect. He's an eponymous ancestor, but he's also an etiological ancestor. He plays both roles. Jacob is renamed Israel. From that point forward, the same word Israel refers both to a character in the story and the entire people nation. That is normal biography. No historical individual in any reliable record becomes linguistically identical to an entire nation. This is a literary signal. Jacob is not merely the ancestor of Israel, but Jacob is Israel in narrative form. The story has taken the collective and turned into a character. The sons of Israel are not children. Look at the names of Jacob's sons: Judah, Dan, Reuben, Naphtali, Gad, Asher, Issachar, Zebulun, Benjamin, Joseph, who became Ephraim and Manasseh, Levi. These are not random personal names. They are the exact names of tribes and sub-tribes, the exact labels of territorial and social groups in ancient Israel. So the narrative structure is Israel equal the whole people, his sons equal the component groups of that people. This is group structure told as family structure. The 12-tribe system as a narrative framework. The story insists on 12 sons, but the list do not behave like a real family. Sometimes Levi counts, sometimes not. Sometimes Joseph counts, sometimes his 2 sons count instead. The membership shifts depending on context. This tells us something crucial. 12 is a symbolic totality number, all of Israel, not a demographic census. Jacob is the narrative container that holds this ideological system together. All right, let me move on. Jacob as a collective singular. In literary theory, this is called a singular. Hugh Dixon, that's false. That's false. By the way, the link is at the top. Anybody could jump on and could join the conversation. Jacob as a collective singular. In literary theory, this is called a collective singular. One person who represents many people. We do this even today. Uncle Sam equals the United States. Britannia equals Britain. Jacob functions exactly the same way. He is Israel as a person, Israel's memory as a story, Israel's identity as a character. All right, the brother nations are also personification. This isn't unique to Jacob. Genesis does this systematically. Esau equal Edom, Moab equal Moabites, Ammon equal Ammonites, Aram equal Arameans. So Israel's neighbors are turned into brothers and cousins. Why? Because this is how ancient peoples encoded geopolitics. International relations are turned into family drama. Jacob fits perfectly into this ethnographic storytelling system. The key diagnostic question, ask this. If Jacob, I'm going to ask everybody in the audience this question, and I want to answer right now in the audience. If Jacob were removed from the story, would Israel cease to exist? I'm going to ask everybody in the audience. If you remove Jacob from the story of the Bible, would Israel cease to exist? Come on, let me see them. Put 1 for yes and put 2 for no. You say yes. Okay, Hugh Dixon. Okay. Let me ask again. If you remove Jacob from the story, would he cease to exist? I just got 1 answer. 2, not now. All right, so the answer would be no. Because Israel already exists when the story is written. And 2, Jacob's stories explains Israel. It does not create Israel. That proves Jacob is explanatory, not historical. I'm going to say that again. If Jacob were removed from the story, would Israel cease to exist? The answer is no. Israel already existed when the story is written. Jacob's story explains Israel. It does not create Israel. That proves Jacob is explanatory, not historical. The core conclusion of this chapter, Jacob is not the biological father of Israel. He's Israel personified. His sons are not children. They are tribes narrated as brothers. This is what eponymous ancestor means in practice. Chapter 4, I go into the etiology, why Jacob explains different things. But the reason I'm talking about Jacob is this, right? Jacob is considered an eponymous ancestor, and he has some etiological effects as far as is concerned, right? Now, when someone says Jacob don't exist or whatever, I'm not going to argue that, because I don't think the book is really trying to tell us whether Jacob exists or not. But let's just do a little test for a second. And Hugh Dixon, I'm going to ask you to be patient and stop being emotional in my chat. Chapter 5 of my book, my upcoming, it's not going to be an ebook. It's going to be for $9.99. Anybody could read it and you could look at the methodology that's being used. This is for the conscious community, and it's for the Hebrew Israelite community, and even for the Christians. How to look at Jacob as an eponymous ancestor and an etiological ancestor without losing your faith. These books will help everybody involved. So when we have the arguments, Jacob didn't exist, you could see why you could have that conclusion, because he's not supposed to be a historical figure in the narrative. Because we don't understand the genre that's being used. We just pick up the Bible and read it and think we know it. We don't know what the hell we're doing. And that's the problem with Tariq and all these camps and all these brothers that say that believe in the Bible. They could recite this and put this together and do precepts, but they don't know the genre and why the Bible is the way it is and why it was put together and how it was put together. But anyway, I want everybody to pay attention. This is very important. Tell a friend to tell a friend. This is extremely important right here, right? Garfield, if you get rid of the Bible, how do God contact people? Are you serious? So before 3,000 years ago, God wouldn't have contacted anybody? All right. Anchors and tests. Archaeology, external evidence, and anachronism. How historians actually test ancient figures. Now, if this is the most important part of what I'm saying, forget about everything else. If you don't understand it, go back and rewind it or download the manuscript. Listen to what Garfield is saying right here. How historians actually test ancient figures. You see, this is the key right here. The same test that we test for Hercules or Minos or Romulus is the same test you're running for the same figures in the Bible. We're treating them like they're actual historical figures in the past. When historians evaluate, hold on 1 second, family. All right, 10:58. So in 10 minutes, my Uber will be here. All right. Now, this is very important. If you've never heard this before, tag Priest Daniela, tag Corey, tag Tazaria, tag Katazar, tag Yawasap, tag everybody you want. This is very important. How historians actually test ancient figures. When historians evaluate an ancient figure, they do not begin with belief or disbelief. That's very important. They begin with controls, independent ways to check whether a story connects to recoverable history. The main tests are external attestation. Is the person mentioned in sources outside the tradition? Number 2, are they an archaeological fit? Does the story align with the material culture of the period it claims to describe? Number 3, chronological coherence. Does the narrative fit what we know about the broader historical timeline? Number 4, anachronisms analysis. Does the story contain features that belong to a later period? Number 5, literary function. Is the story acting like a memory of events or like an explanation of identity? This is the most important part. Is the story acting like a memory of events or like an explanation of identity? These tests are used for all ancient traditions, not just the Bible. So they can't say, Garfield, you're picking on the Bible. No, this is the standard for everybody. So when they're testing if Heru or Osiris existed, or the kings in Egypt, or traditions in Egypt, it's the same methodology. In Assyria, in Greece, in Babylon, in Akkadian culture, Sumerian culture, it's the same tradition. Now, the external 5.2. Hold on 1 second, family. 1 second. Go ahead, Sabi.
So, what up, Garfield? Peace, y'all. So, I appreciate what you're saying because I get asked that question, how do I test or how do I know these characters existed or not? And I tell them the historical method. We use evidence.
I'm back, Pops. Hold that thought. Now, let me get back to 5.2. This is in my book. This is the 5th chapter, the final chapter. The external attestation test and Jacob. Jacob fails the external attestation test completely. How does he fail it? There are no Egyptian records, no Mesopotamian records, no Canaanite inscriptions, no contemporary references of any kind. He appears only in Israel's much later literature. This does not automatically prove non-existence. Let me say that clear. This does not automatically prove non-existent, but it means there is no historical anchor outside the story itself. So historians must rely entirely on internal literature and archaeological analysis. All right, so let's move on to archaeology and the patriarchal age problem. For much of the 20th century, some scholars hoped archaeology might confirm a patriarchal age in the Middle Bronze Age. That hope failed. Archaeology does not confirm the social world of Genesis as described, the migration patterns, the political map, the economic structures. Instead, the patriarchal stories consistently reflect Iron Age realities, the world of the monarchy and later. Iron Age started at 1200 BC and ended around 586 BC. This is why mainstream scholarship today no longer speaks confidently of a patriarchal age as a historical period. All right, so let's move on. We leave history, we leave external, we did archaeology. Now we had anachronism as a diagnostic tool. And anachronism is something placed in the wrong time period. Historians do not use anachronisms as a cheap gotchas. They use them as dating signals. If a story repeatedly reflects later political realities, presupposes later identities, uses later religious structures, matches later geography and tribal relations, then the story is being told from a later world. The Jacob cycle contains many such signals. What are the examples? It presupposes Edom as a defined rival polity. It presupposes a fully developed tribal system. It presupposes major cult sites already functioning. It presupposes a north-south political tension between Joseph versus Judah. It presupposes the Levites as a distinct priestly class. It presupposes Israel as a known collective identity. These are Iron Age realities, not Bronze Age ones. He couldn't be writing 1800 BC with this type of reality. I hope you understand that. Now, number 5.5, the direction of dependence. Here is a crucial historical principle. When a story explains a reality that already exists, the story depends on the reality, not the other way around. The Jacob narratives explain why tribes have their status, why certain regions belong to certain groups, why Israel and Edom are related but hostile. In the belly, in the womb, they're fighting in the womb. Why specific sanctuaries are important. That means the social and political world came first. The story was written to explain it. That's the etiological effect. What would real historical evidence look like? If Jacob were a historically recoverable figure, we would expect at least one of the following: some external mention, some tight archaeological correlation, some stable and non-symbolic genealogy, some narrative that does not function primarily as identity explanation. We have none of these. Instead, hold on one second, family. Y'all know I can't multitask. Hold on there. Calm down. We have none of these. Instead, we have a perfect eponym. Israel equal Jacob. Perfect tribal name mapping. Sons equal tribes. Perfect etiological function. Stories explain later realities. This combination is diagnostically mythic, not biographical. The historical judgment. Using standard historical method, scholars conclude Jacob is not a historically recoverable individual. He's a literary symbolic figure constructed to embody Israel's identity and explain its internal structure and relationships. That conclusion does not come from skepticism. It comes from method. Hold on there. Oh, arriving 11:01. My bad. 5 minutes. What this means for the 12 tribes and modern descent claim. Now, this is important for the 12 tribe chart people and the people who are running around saying, I'm from this chart and that chart. Indigenous black man said, indigenous black man always say I'm stealing his stuff. All right, watch this, family. What this means for the 12 tribes and modern descent claims. The 12 tribes as an identity system. The Bible represents a 12-tribe Israel, but the lists vary. The membership shifts. Sometimes Levi count, sometimes not, sometimes Joseph count. The 12 is an idol. Okay. Tribes are not DNA lineages. In the ancient world, a tribe was a political group, a territorial group, a social and military unit, an identity group. People joined, were absorbed, split, merged, and reorganized. Tribes are historical populations, not extended families. The genealogies are a way of narrating relationships, a way of explaining rank and connection, a way of creating a shared identity. The fatal category error in modern claims. Here's a central mistake in many modern identity movements. They treat a symbolic origin story as if it were a genetic record. Let me repeat that. Hugh Dixon, listen. They treat a symbolic origin story as if it were a genetic record. But Jacob is an eponymous ancestor. His sons are tribes written as brothers. The story is etiological and political. Therefore, you cannot descend biologically from a personification. Let me repeat that. Jacob is an eponymous ancestor. His sons are tribes written as brothers. The story is etiological and political. Therefore, you cannot descend biologically from a personification. No one does DNA tests to prove descent from Romulus, Helene, or Ashur, and the same logic should apply to Jacob. I'm going to repeat that. You cannot descend biologically from a personification, which is what Jacob is. He's a personification. No one does DNA tests to prove descent from Romulus, Helene, Ashur, and the same logic should apply to Jacob. But what about Israelites in history? This does not mean Israel did not exist. It means Israel emerges historically in the Iron Age. Its population comes from Canaanite highland societies and surrounding groups. Its identity is shaped by culture, religion, and politics. Its origin story is told through symbolic ancestors. So Israel is historically real. Jacob is Israel's story form. Why this matters? This matters because it ends all literal 12 tribe biological descent arguments. It prevents pseudo-historical ancestry claims. It restores the Bible to its actual ancient genre. It allows Israel's history to be studied with real evidence. The final synthesis. We can now state the conclusion precisely. Jacob is an eponymous ancestor who personifies Israel. The Jacob narratives are etiological stories explaining tribal, political, and religious realities of a later period. There is no historical anchor for Jacob as an individual. The 12 tribes are not a genetic family, but a symbolic political system. Therefore, all modern biological descent claims based on Jacob or the tribes are methodologically invalid. That means my brother that was claiming the Akan is attached, their ancestors are from Israel. What ancestors? Jacob is a personification of Israel. How could you be an ancestor from that guy? So my ancestors were stupid then. They were dumb. Conclusion, Jacob has Israel in store form. Jacob is not the father of Israel. He is Israel. He's a people turned into a person, a map turned into a man, a nation turned into a story. That is not a weakness of the Bible. It is how ancient peoples everywhere explained who they were. Period. Go ahead. Go ahead. You want to respond now, my brother? Sabio.
Yo, what up? I was just gonna say the historical method is what I was like, is what I was really speaking on, and how the question that you asked. No, Israel would not exist, but I would say, I would say, no, they wouldn't, but they still would because, as you said, the country already existed. So what wouldn't exist is this ideology over this culture or this book that we are chosen. That wouldn't exist. But the nation state of Israel would exist. But the historical method is what many of these people who want to adhere and base their lives on these stories need to use when they read this book. They need to stop reading it like they're reading Aesop's Fables or Humpty Dumpty. And those things actually happen. There was some tiny men and some tiny horses that was able to put an egg back together again after he fell off the wall. So but yeah, the information, I don't think, and another thing I was gonna say, when I listen to a lot of these conversations and a lot of these videos, like the one you play from Captain Tazariot, I don't really think they want to get into the scholarship. They don't really want to dive deep into what the scholarship is actually saying, because then it'll actually challenge their beliefs and make them have to question themselves. And if they ain't never asked themselves challenging questions on their beliefs, then what'll make them start challenging their beliefs at 54, 48? These beliefs have kept them somewhat grounded for the last 20-something years, whenever they came into this shit. So asking them to read books by Rutger Gmerkin and Jacob L. Wright and Jonathan Adler We're actually asking them to step above their intelligence level. That's the big step for them. If they're reading and comprehending things at a 8th, 9th, 10th grade level, how are they going to read college level books and comprehend them? They're going to get lost.
Look at this right here. He said the scholarship is biased. You see, this is why I gave a methodology. A methodology applies to everybody. It's just that no one in their right mind says, hey, I'm from Romulus and argue about Romulus all day long. No one proves descent from Romulus, Helene, or Ashur. If you notice something with the 12 tribes also, Sabio, why would the person who has children name their children after Canaanite deities? The tribe of God was in the Canaanite area. Why would an Israelite name their tribe after a Canaanite deity? What about Ashur? Ashur is probably from Asherah or Asher, who is a male deity who is connected to Canaan. Why would you name after Canaanite deities? That don't make no sense.
Right. I don't think, and that's it right there, because those questions they don't ask. Because if they ask, that means they would have to really challenge what they've been taught to believe. And there was a debate I was watching the other day, and it was an amazingly sad debate on the Christian part. So for some reason, he tried to use the epistemic or epistemology to prove that God exists. I'm like, this is the way.
Hold on a second. Let me play this video real quick.
At this point, I'd like to give a brief summary of the model presented in this book, and I'd also like to present a take on that model. But first, let's go back to documentary hypothesis. Many of you are probably aware of the proposed connections between the biblical flood myth and the Garden of Eden story and the Epic of Gilgamesh. However, much more of Genesis seems to be modeled after a Babylonian understanding. The problem with this Babylonian understanding is that it comes from multiple sources. In fact, it comes from too many sources. So the question has been, how was this transmitted into the Torah? And the answer so far has been documentary hypothesis, that essentially the Torah was the result of a slow process of collection where these multiple sources eventually made it into the Bible. This has been the prevailing thought for the last 150 years. What we can call the Mirkin model, based on his book, presents an entirely different mode of transmission revolving around the Library of Alexandria. The author proposes that one single Babylonian creation text was transmitted into the Genesis story. The book, The Babylonian History, written by Berosus, essentially recorded all the Babylonian creation and religious traditions and refined them to his more contemporary understanding. The Genesis authors took part of Berosus as fact, but they refined it, rejecting some portions and offering a polar opposite understanding on other facets. This would put the creation of the book of Genesis around 273 BCE. The second part of his model revolves around another author named Manetho. The author wrote an Egyptian history. Often Egyptian history is overlooked, but it appears that this book also made it into the Torah in what would be the book of Exodus. Again, Jewish scholars accepted parts of it, rejected others, and offered a polar opposite understanding on other facets. And again, this puts the book of Exodus around 273 BCE. Mirkin presents his model in a way that is thoroughly researched. It will take me a considerable amount of time to get through all the information he presents, and at this point, I simply don't have the knowledge required to argue against him. His model sounds very solid, and it's probably the most reasonable model I've ever seen. It explains the transmission of these foreign traditions into the Torah in the most likely terms. The birth of the Torah would then require relatively few sources rather than the truly massive amounts of sources required by documentary hypothesis. And at the Library of Alexandria, the writers of the Torah would have access to everything they would need to create the Torah. Now, Mirkin does not stop with these two sources. Rather, he presents some evidence that seems to overwhelmingly support his hypothesis, primarily that Greek sources, some of the most prolific writers on the planet at the time, don't seem to know of a text before the Septuagint. The Greeks draw their conclusions on the Jews largely from Egyptian oral tradition, and then later that Egyptian understanding becomes fused with a Jewish understanding, but they don't seem to know of a Hebrew text. After the Septuagint is born, Greek authors begin referring to this work as if it's historiography. The Greeks didn't cite a Hebrew text before this, but they would have if it were known to exist. All external evidence seems to point to the Septuagint as the first codification of the Torah. At this point, I'd like to claim this as the Septuagint priority hypothesis, where the Torah is constructed for the sole purpose of presenting Hebrew histories to the Greeks. My evidence seems to point here. Mirkin goes into extraordinary detail getting here, and I think it's a sound proposition. Biblical minimalism is a typical term for this type of scholarship, but that term is loaded with problems, and my proposition and the Mirkin model excludes many facets of the broader minimalist context. So I think we need a new term for this type of proposition, and my suggestion would be Septuagint priority hypothesis.
This is the latest episode in my series, Excavating the History of the Bible, brought to
revolving around the Library of Alexandria. The author proposes that one single Babylonian creation text was transmitted into the Genesis.
This is the guy that introduced me to Russell Gmirkin book. This is over 14 years ago. So that's how I learned about Russell Gmirkin, through this guy. I was having a conversation with Myth Vision, and he said, "How you know about Russell?" I said, "Yeah, this is how I knew about Russell, man. This guy right here, he's the one that introduced me," and I sent him the video. So you never know, some videos might have some pseudo stuff and whatever you might not like. But this guy, he tries to be scholarly. I'm not saying he's right or whatever. He actually has a theory on the book of Daniel that I thought was very interesting. Very, very interesting. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can find it. Decrypting Daniel. Yeah, this is it. This is it right here. Decrypting Daniel. Yeah, this is it right here. Part 2. Check this out right here, family. For those who like.
Because the chapters of Daniel are fairly long and loaded with backstory, I'm going to skip through quite a lot of this and head straight for the prophetic allegories. Now, one of the big differences between Daniel and the Revelation author is that Daniel actually explains a lot of these allegories. It's quite a lot easier to crack these allegories than it was in Revelation. In chapter 2, Nebuchadnezzar has a dream and Daniel interprets it. His dream is essentially of a statue with a golden head, a chest and arms of silver, belly and thighs of bronze, legs of iron, and feet of iron and clay. Now, Daniel's explanation of this statue is that it is 4 kingdoms. The golden head is explained to be Babylon under Nebuchadnezzar himself. This is followed by the silver kingdom, which is said to be inferior to Nebuchadnezzar's kingdom. The bronze kingdom rules the world, and the iron kingdom will conquer all of them. But the iron feet mixed with clay indicates that the iron kingdom will break into pieces. This is a very simple allegory, and 2 of the 3 following kingdoms are easy to understand. The Bronze Kingdom is the Persian Empire. It conquers Babylon and most of the known world around 539 to 530. The Iron Kingdom is Alexander the Great, which plows through the Persian Empire in around 330, but he dies in 323, and his empire eventually breaks up into several kingdoms and empires. The Silver Kingdom is slightly more vague, but is probably alluding to the kingdom of Nabonidus, who is the final king of Babylon. Following the death of Nebuchadnezzar II, the Babylonian Empire had 4 kings within the next 6 years. Nabonidus would be the final Babylonian king, and it's during his reign that Cyrus the Great takes over Babylon. The author may simply be saying that the golden age of the Babylonian Empire is over with the death of Nebuchadnezzar. There are a few other possibilities for the Silver Kingdom, but the reference to being inferior to the kingdom of Nebuchadnezzar seems to point to Babylon under Nabonidus. During his reign, Persia rises in the east, and in no way is Nabonidus prepared to handle the Persians. The author probably sees the reign of Nabonidus as a mark of the decline of Babylon. Based on this chapter alone, the author could not have existed any earlier than about 323 BCE. Even though it's written prophetically, the author can only allude to what he knows, and this author is aware of the empire of Alexander the Great and its breakup into several kingdoms. In this chapter alone, in only one allegory, the author has covered around 250 years. It's a very different style from Revelation, and the book of Daniel covers the same events more than once, so there will be some repetition. But being this broad and repetitive makes the allegory simpler and easier to crack.
All right. Now let me
Hi,
say
this
this,
is Matt
right?
Baker.
I actually like his breakdown, but I disagree.
Because the chapters of Daniel are fairly...
Hold on a second. Let me see if he has the script. There's 2.0. Let me see 3.0.
Daniel chapter 5 is the proverbial writing on the wall. It's basically...
Now, when Nebuchadnezzar says, let me do this for everybody, because I like to, and I got Christians in the audience. Y'all could correct me if I'm wrong. In Daniel 2, right? Verses 38, I think. Daniel 2:38. Let me go to Bible Hub. All right, let me go to that. All right, cool. That's what's up, Corey. Shout out to Corey in the building. All right, look at this right here, right? And y'all could help me. Hugh Dixon, I want you to help me out with this one. Y'all could come on the panel, man. Let's talk about this Bible for a second. Because I'm going to go into Priest Daniel's presentation on the Dark Ages. I'm going to go into that. I'll talk about anti-intellectualism. And we're gonna have a conversation about that. This is Daniel 2:38, right? And 39. I want y'all to help me understand this, right? Let me go to the King James Version right here, King James Bible. It says, and wheresoever the children of men dwell, the beasts of the field and the fowls of the heaven hath he given into thine hand, and hath made thee ruler over them all. Thou art this head of gold. Does everybody in the audience agree that's Nebuchadnezzar? Does everybody agree that's Nebuchadnezzar? Let's go to verse 39. Watch this. So if everybody agree, let me see. Does everybody agree that's Nebuchadnezzar? Does everybody agree that's Nebuchadnezzar? All right. So Yason know a little something. All right. Now look at what it says after that. And after thee shall arise another kingdom. This is key right now. Another kingdom. Where's King Pew at? I need him on this one. It says another kingdom inferior to thee. Now this is key right here. So let's go down to the Hebrew and see what they're talking about, the Aramaic or whatever it's in. All right. So let's look at what it says. It says, but after you, referring to Nebuchadnezzar, there will arise another kingdom inferior to yours. Now, if there's going to be another kingdom that's inferior, what does the word inferior mean? What does it mean in this context? Because it's another kingdom. In Christianity, I know you guys teach it's the Persia-Medo Empire, right? Okay, now watch this. I say it can't be the Persia-Medo Empire because the Persia-Medo Empire was greater than Nebuchadnezzar's empire, much bigger. See, look at what they said. Represented by the silver chest and arms and the statue, his kingdom is described as inferior to Babylon, but succeeds it. You see, this is what Christianity teaches. But it can't be. It don't make sense. I don't want to follow the script today. I want to ask everybody in the audience, who is the kingdom that's inferior to Nebuchadnezzar? So this is why I disagree with a lot of people when they talk. I say it would be the Medes Empire by itself, technically, as far as inferior. It can't be the Medes Empire because the Medes Empire was much bigger as far as power-wise, as far as the work that they did and where they control. They were much bigger than the Babylonian Empire. All right. Nobody want to entertain that. Let me get back to this for a second. Hold on. Let me see if he has a playlist. Does he have a playlist? The Book of Daniel.
No. Instead of being a prophetic book in the sense of the author having magical prophetic powers, the scholarly consensus began to shift to the idea that the author lived around 150 BC and simply wrote in a prophetic style. Now, the good news about this shift in the scholarly consensus is that most of the work has already been done for me. In tackling Daniel, I get to use a lot of works of Bible scholars that have already determined the historical events. This is very different than the so-called scholarly understanding of Revelation. The same rules that these scholars applied to Daniel have not been widely applied to Revelation. So Revelation was an extremely difficult crack because the scholarly consensus still assumes that the Revelation authors had gnarly magical powers of prophecy. Still, the history behind the book of Daniel is definitely worth a look or two. The book is only about 12 chapters and covers a very broad period of history, and in that sense, it's nowhere near the difficulty of Revelation. The precision of the first few Revelation chapters simply does not exist in Daniel. While the book of Daniel is far more broad in scope, the allegories are fairly obvious. So with that, I believe I'll go ahead and begin a Decrypting Daniel series. It's not going to be anywhere near as difficult as the Revelation series, but if you like ancient historical references, Daniel is loaded with them. It's a fascinating book, and having biblical scholars that The first chapter of the book of Daniel is a simple introduction to characters. This chapter basically sets up the rest of the story. It's not written in a prophetic style. It is only basic information for the rest of the book. The story begins with essentially the siege of Jerusalem around 597 BCE. Nebuchadnezzar II of Babylon put down a revolt from the client king of Jerusalem. As a result of this revolt, Jerusalem was sacked and looted, and it appears that many of the wealthy were taken as captives back to the city of Babylon. The practice of taking hostages was probably not all that uncommon for the Babylonians. The idea was to take anyone who might cause a revolt away from the area and to discourage others from revolting by implying that if the client state revolted again, the hostages would be immediately killed. In Daniel chapter 1, the author introduces Nebuchadnezzar. He also introduces the characters of Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. The author states that these characters were given new Babylonian names. These characters will be referred to in this book by both sets of names. And the author states that these people were taught the ins and outs of Babylonian scholarship, essentially to prepare them for service to the king. The chapter ends by stating that the Daniel character was in Babylon until the reign of Cyrus, which likely means the year that Cyrus the Great of Persia conquered Babylon around 539 BCE. The four exiles are said to be well-read and knowledgeable, and Daniel himself is said to be particularly good with prophecy and interpreting dreams. So these four characters, because of their knowledge and ability to interpret dreams, are said to be placed into the service of King Nebuchadnezzar. They're said to be purely Hebrew, and they reject most customs of Babylon. But with the rest of the book of Daniel, it should be noted that there is no evidence for these people literally existing. They are caricatures of the best of the Hebrews in Babylonian captivity, and that's how they should be looked at when reading this book. By the time we get to the final chapters, it will become fairly obvious that the book was not completed until centuries after the Babylonian captivity. and that the author's grasp on history from this period has a few curious inaccuracies. Still, that's how it begins, and the rest of this book gets all crazy and apocalyptic. Monsters, dreams, and all kinds of crazy prophecies are right around the corner. So, because the chapters of Daniel are fairly long and loaded with backstory, I'm going to skip through quite a lot of this and head straight for the prophetic allegories. Now, one of the big differences between Daniel and the Revelation author is that Daniel actually explains a lot of these allegories. It's quite a lot easier to crack these allegories than it was in Revelation. In chapter 2, Nebuchadnezzar has a dream and Daniel interprets it. His dream is essentially of a statue with a golden head, a chest and arms of silver, belly and thighs of bronze, legs of iron, and feet of iron and clay. Now, Daniel's explanation of this statue is that it is 4 kingdoms. The golden head is explained to be Babylon under Nebuchadnezzar himself. This is followed by the silver kingdom, which is said to be inferior to Nebuchadnezzar's kingdom. The bronze kingdom rules the world, and the iron kingdom will conquer all of them. But the iron feet mixed with clay indicates that the iron kingdom will break into pieces. This is a very simple allegory, and 2 of the 3 following kingdoms are easy to understand. The Bronze Kingdom is the Persian Empire. It conquers Babylon and most of the known world around 539 to 530. The Iron Kingdom is Alexander the Great, which plows through the Persian Empire in around 330, but he dies in 323, and his empire eventually breaks up into several kingdoms and empires. The Silver Kingdom is slightly more vague, but is probably alluding to the kingdom of Nabonidus, who is the final king of Babylon. Following the death of Nebuchadnezzar II, the Babylonian Empire had 4 kings within the next 6 years. Nabonidus would be the final Babylonian king, and it's during his reign that Cyrus the Great takes over Babylon. The author may simply be saying that the golden age of the Babylonian Empire is over with the death of Nebuchadnezzar. There are a few other possibilities for the Silver Kingdom, but the reference to being inferior to the kingdom of Nebuchadnezzar seems to point to Babylon under Nabonidus. During his reign, Persia rises in the east, and in no way is Nabonidus prepared to handle the Persians. The author probably sees the reign of Nabonidus as a mark of the decline of Babylon. Based on this chapter alone, the author could not have existed any earlier than about 323 BCE. Even though it's written prophetically, the author can only allude to what he knows, and this author is aware of the empire of Alexander the Great and its breakup into several kingdoms. In this chapter alone, in only one allegory, the author has covered around 250 years. It's a very different style from Revelation, and the book of Daniel covers the same events more than once, so there will be some repetition. But being this broad and repetitive makes the allegory simpler and easier to crack. Daniel chapter 5 is the proverbial writing on the wall. It's basically a claim that immediately before the fall of the Babylonians, a vision occurred saying that it was going to happen. This chapter is almost not worth reading except for the last few lines, and the chapter is very problematic because the author does not seem to have a very good grasp of history here. The author claims that Belshazzar is king of Babylon when it falls to Persia. Now, until recently, Belshazzar was not even thought to exist, but thanks to a stylist recently discovered, it appears that Belshazzar was a son of King Nabonidus. There has been some speculation that Belshazzar was essentially the prince of Babylon and in control while his father was gone. But there's no evidence that Belshazzar was ever a king, and the evidence of Nabonidus being an absentee is slim. The second problem with Belshazzar is that the author claims him to be the son of Nebuchadnezzar. Belshazzar was the son of Nabonidus, and Nabonidus was apparently not even related to Nebuchadnezzar. Curiously, Nabonidus is never mentioned in this book. If the author had any real grasp of history from this time, surely he would have mentioned Nabonidus. He may think Nabonidus and Nebuchadnezzar are the same person, or he may think Belshazzar is Nabonidus. The speculation on that is a bit irrelevant. The author clearly doesn't have all the facts about Babylon. And this chapter ends with a very odd reference to Darius the Mede. The first problem with that is that it was Cyrus that conquered Babylon, not Darius. Both Cyrus the Great and Darius the First were extremely well-known Persian emperors. If the author had knowledge of this time, there would be no way to get the two confused. The second problem with Darius the Mede is that the Medes were another empire that existed before the Persians. Now, the Medes and Persians were ethnically similar, but when Babylon falls, there is no way to mistake the Medes for the Persians. The empire of the Medes is dead. Cyrus and Darius are purely Persian. The odd little allegory at the end is mostly just mythological lore. A vision occurs where...
You know what's interesting about this part for those who are watching? The Medes and the Babylonians were partners against Assyria and Egypt. So when did the Medes become an enemy of Babylon to defeat Babylon? So Darius the Mede, because of Jeremiah's 51:11's prophecy, the writer of Daniel is trying to make that prophecy come true because obviously he read it. This book was in too many hands to not be manipulated. Isaiah 43. Hey, definitely. Isaiah 43, you could come on the panel whenever you're ready, bro. Hugh Dixon talking crap in the audience. You could get
there
it.
is writing on the wall. Daniel comes to interpret it, and King Belshazzar is said to have been weighed by God and found wanting. He dies that night for no apparent reason, and this Darius the Mede character, who must really be Cyrus the Great, takes over Babylon. I typically try to treat the Bible with a lot of respect, and I go in with the assumption that the author knows what he's talking about. In chapter 5, it is quite clear that the author's knowledge of this time frame is terribly deficient. Before I finish up, I want to mention chapters 3 and 4. Chapter 3 is pure legend. There is no prophetic visions or anything like that. All it is a story about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego being thrown into a fiery pit for less than spectacular reasons. God saves them from the fire, and Nebuchadnezzar decides he's all about the Hebrew God, which is a bit odd because he was all about the Hebrew God at the end of chapter 2 as well. Perhaps he forgot. In chapter 4, there is one vision interpreted. Nebuchadnezzar has another dream. This time a tree is cut down, and its stump is bound with iron and bronze chains. Now, the interpretation of this dream sounds rather poor, but Daniel claims that Nebuchadnezzar is essentially going to go crazy for a while, and once he accepts the Hebrew God, he'll get all of his power back. And shortly after this, Nebuchadnezzar, who apparently has no memory at all of the previous 2 times he accepted the Hebrew God, goes crazy for about a week, acts like a wild animal, and eats some grass, and then decides he's all about the Hebrew God and gets his power back. On the interpretation of the dream, the iron and bronze chains, we already have an allusion to the iron and bronze empires in chapter 2, but the author says they are different. This bugs me a little bit and makes me wonder if we might not already have more than one author. Still, if Daniel wants to explain that dream as Nebuchadnezzar going crazy, I suppose I'll have to accept that. It makes more sense as an allegory to the conquest of Babylon by the Persians and later by Alexander the Great. But at this point, I don't think the author knows very much of what he's talking about. It's disappointing, but hopefully he'll get it together with later references. Because the information in Daniel 7 is a bit ambiguous, I'm going to skip to the more obvious allegories and hope that this gives me some ideas. Chapter 8 is a vision by Daniel. He claims he had this vision during the Babylonian Empire. This chapter introduces 2 beasts. The first beast is a ram-like beast with 2 horns. The longer horn is said to be younger than the shorter horn, but is clearly more powerful. Daniel later explains that this beast is the empire of the Persians and Medes, the Persians being the bigger horn and the Medes being the smaller horn. He's clearly talking about the Achaemenid Empire, which existed roughly between 550 and 330 BCE. The Medes were a previous empire. They're ethnically similar to the Persians, but the Persians took over the empire of the Medes in around 559 BCE. The second beast is said to have 1 horn and comes from the west. This beast kills the first beast, but in the process, its single horn breaks off. This is followed by 4 other horns sprouting from the head of the beast. Later in this book, Daniel explains this beast to be an allegory of the Greeks, and essentially he's talking about the conquest of Persia by Alexander the Great. Alexander dies in 323, and his empire breaks into several kingdoms. This author claims only 4 kingdoms came from Alexander. That's not quite right, but it's close enough to give the author a pass. There were multiple kingdoms, but only a few big ones. The Daniel author is probably talking about Macedonia, Pergamum, the Seleucid Empire, and the Ptolemaic Empire. Now, from one of these following kingdoms apparently comes a king that the author doesn't like so much. There is little evidence as to who exactly this king is, but it says this is during the latter part of their reign, meaning that these kingdoms are about to be wiped out. This king that the author is alluding to is likely Antiochus Epiphanes, one of the latter kings of the Seleucid Empire. The area of Palestine and Syria are constantly being fought over by the Seleucids and Ptolemies of Egypt. Antiochus Epiphanes is in control of the Seleucid Empire around 175 to 164 BCE. He invades the empire of the Ptolemies in Egypt and beats them up pretty good. But in the process, there's a revolt in Judea. Antiochus ends up crushing the revolt in Judea. He sacks Jerusalem, and he installs his own man as high priest in Jerusalem. This would be very problematic for the Seleucids later, and the book of Daniel alludes to the idea that the king used deceit and sets himself up as something close to a god. In around 167 BCE, Judea revolted again under Judah Maccabees. Antiochus Epiphanes would die in around 164 BCE, and within a few years, the kingdom of Judea would become semi-autonomous. This chapter clearly states that the king came from one of the empires of Alexander, and Antiochus IV would certainly be worth writing about. So while I'll certainly keep an eye out for other possibilities, Antiochus Epiphanes certainly fits the bill. But there is one curious thing about this chapter that I need to mention. The fact that the author knows that the Greek empires are about to be wiped out by the Romans and Parthians points to a significantly later date. This author obviously knows of a time when the Seleucids no longer exist. I'll have to keep an eye out for variations and see if I can break this into multiple authors, but at this point I seriously doubt that I'm working with one author, and the time frame he's talking about is significantly later than I'd previously expected. The book of Daniel is so full of holes that a few leaps have to be made to make anything out of it. Luckily, others have done the work for me, and at this point I'm going to put modern scholarship on Daniel to good use. Daniel 9 is split into two parts. The entire story is said to take place in the reign of Darius, son of Xerxes, a Mede by descent. Of course, at this point, we don't know if the author is talking about Cyrus, Darius I, or perhaps even more likely, Darius II. Darius II is the only king out of all of these that sort of follows his Xerxes, even though Darius wasn't his son. But the author is clearly getting several kings mixed up, so we have no idea who he's talking about. The first part of the chapter is essentially a prayer by Daniel that asks how much longer before the temple in Jerusalem is rebuilt. The second part of the chapter is a figurative answer from the angel Gabriel. Modern scholarship claims that this allegory is talking about two people, the first person being the anointed one and the second person being the ruler. The entire allegory is split up into figurative weeks or time frames that have seemingly no bearing on reality. Now, it appears that the Anointed One is someone involved with the construction of the Temple of Jerusalem. Modern scholarship points to Cyrus the Great being the Anointed One. However, I would like to point out that the 7 days reference could be a reference to the story of Ezra or potentially Nehemiah. There are a few curious references in those books that the author could have picked up, and both Ezra and Nehemiah were said to be involved with the construction of the temple. The ruler is apparently talking about Antiochus Epiphanes when he sacks Jerusalem, puts his own man in at high priest, and sets up a statue to Zeus on the Temple Mount. This anointed one and the ruler seem like complete opposites of each other, and modern scholarship could be correct in deriving Cyrus and Antiochus Epiphanes from this reference. The reference to the sevens or weeks appears to be a purely figurative time frame or an inaccuracy. Daniel 9 is messy, figurative, and the only allegorical story makes virtually no sense at all. The author doesn't know what he's talking about, and so reconstructing his understanding with 100% certainty is impossible. It seems likely that Antiochus Epiphanes is the evil character, and Cyrus would be a likely culprit for the anointed one. Of course, at this point, the Daniel author hasn't given any indication that he knows who Cyrus was. So while in Jewish tradition, Cyrus the Great as the anointed one makes sense, to get Cyrus the Great from the book of Daniel is by itself a bit of a leap. In Daniel 10, we finally get a mention of Cyrus the Great. In the final verse and the beginning of the next chapter, the author seems to be placing him after this Darius the Mede character. In this chapter, Daniel essentially starves himself for 3 weeks and has a vision. This vision is of a man with a belt of gold, a body like topaz, face of lightning, eyes like torches, and arms and legs like bronze. The Daniel author doesn't say who exactly this is supposed to be. However, in chapter 9, Daniel was speaking with the angel Gabriel, and it's possible that this is Gabriel again. The reason why I mentioned Gabriel is that the only other character mentioned in this chapter is someone called Michael. This Michael is probably a reference to the angel Michael. However, the vision speaks of this Michael as a real person. Other than the fact that Daniel is starving, weak, and seeing stuff that no one else around him is seeing, there isn't much to this chapter.
All right, it's time to put somebody on the big screen right here. This idiot, right? And I'm calling him an idiot. It's 2026. I'm keeping it real with everybody in the world, right? I love my audience, but some of y'all are just some idiots. Look at this guy right here. Brother Garfield, wasn't I correct about the maps, beloved? Last week, where's Mika? Last week, didn't this idiot come on the stage and say that Ghana is on the map of Ptolemy and that there's documentation of the map on Ptolemy? And I said to him, no. Look at what he says right here. He wrote a comment. I'm gonna tell you why I don't listen to none of you guys. Anybody that claims the Bible and connected to Africa, you don't know what the hell you're talking. I don't care who the scholar is. You're an idiot. You are an idiot. Jacob is a personification of Israel. He is not real. You can't prove he's historically recoverable. You can't. I just walk right through the methodology. Nobody can. You could bring your whitest scholar. You could bring your darkest scholar. They're going to agree with Garfield. So for you to say the ancestors, so Israel already existed without there being a Jacob. We don't need Jacob for Israel to exist. All he's doing is explaining why certain things exist, the 12 tribes, the this, the that. That's the etiological effect of Jacob. But he's an eponymous ancestor. He don't exist. He's like Helene and Romulus. He's no different than them. So for you to say the ancestors come from that, you're an idiot. You're anti-Akan. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. Now, how could Ghana be on a map by Ptolemy in 150 AD when Ghana didn't even exist as an empire yet? That don't make no sense. Craziness, man. I gotta put you idiots on the damn big screen. There's no Ptolemy did not know that the Niger. He believed African rivers fed the Nile. His river system is incorrect and speculative. He wasn't even correct. The first written reference to Ghana is by Al-Yaqubi in the 9th century of the Common Era, in the 800s. Arab source. That's the first written mention we have of Ghana. If you have one before that, it's possible because they existed from around 600 of the Common Era or 6th century. So it's possible before Yaqubi. But what we have on record right now is Yaqubi in the 800s. So there's no Ghana that appears on any map of Ptolemy. His work predates the Ghana Empire by centuries and only represents theoretical geography, not West African kingdoms. We got to stop this nonsense, man. Stop it. But anyway, let me get to Priest Daniela and let me get to Priest Daniela real quickly, man. Let me get to Priest Daniela. I got to get to the priest. So I did a whole thing with Priest Daniela. I put him in his presentation of the Dark Ages. I did a PDF and I told ChatGPT to break it down point by point. It says, got it, Garfield. I break the argument of the journey into the Dark Ages. Go ahead, Sabio. I'll be right back. Go ahead, Sabio Mika. I'll be right back.
Yeah, what up, Mika?
Hey, Savio. When Garfield go in, I'm telling you, he can't stop. You can't get a word in.
Yeah, you can't get a word in. But yeah, man. What you think, man, about these, Mika?
I'm here for the Priest Daniela smoke. The other stuff, y'all got that. I want the smoke.
You want the smoke?
Yeah.
Well, I guess if you want the Daniela smoke, you want to smoke with all the other people that kind of align with this kind of thing.
Well, yes, they all can get it. They just be scared of Garfield, you know?
They scared of Garfield.
Yeah, they scared of Garfield. They scared of the real truth, not that truth they be talking about.
They truths have to align with their beliefs.
You guys are idiots. I'm not scared to say it. They're idiots. This guy in the audience, Hugh Dixon, he said, I don't trust them. Listen, Mika, they used to believe Hercules was real. So the same methodology that you apply to her, because Josephus and Tacitus writes about Hercules like he's a real guy. So this is why people said Jesus don't exist, because Joseph was right about Jesus. That don't mean he's real. That's one of their arguments. But the point is, Hugh Dixon says that it's being biased, but they have to use the same methodology I use. You're talking about what is historically recoverable, what is there archaeology, is there anachronisms, because the writing itself kills the argument, because the writing is in the Iron Age while he's supposed to live in the Bronze Age. That alone tells you what the argument is, what's happening. But as far as this guy on the screen, this guy is an idiot. He claims he's a Khan. He knows everything about a Khan, but he's going to say that their ancestors come from Israel. That makes absolutely no sense. Again, that's belittling yourself. That's actually anti-Akan talk. You're not a true Akan. Yeah, you can't be an Akan or Ashanti and talk about how you come from, your ancestors come from Israel when your history goes way beyond Israel's history. And that shit is crazy. We got archaeology in the Akan region that goes back over 3,000 years. I mean, about 1,000 years before Israel even existed. What are we talking about? Igbo been around from the Nok culture way before Israel was settled. They're doing iron smelting, the first culture to ever do iron smelting in history. What are you talking about? They have a writing style in Ensuka that they see on the walls in Ensuka that goes back 2500 BC. What are you talking about? And they look at the script today that they use in Nigeria and say, oh, it looks similar to what they used to do at Ensuka. Come on, man. Why are Africans running from being Africans? It's because of the Hamite myth. They want to run from who they are. Oh, our ancestors are from Israel. Israel is not a real place. The biblical Israel is just not real. The historical Israel is totally different. They didn't know about no law, statutes, and commandments until it wasn't even settled for the common man until around the 2nd century BC. So how could they move from Israel to that area and bring knowledge of the Bible when the Bible itself didn't even exist? These guys are idiots.
Yo, Garfield, Hugh Dixon just said that to me in the chat, yo. He just told me that the scripts existed before the people did, yo.
Let me do this right here. I got to do something on Priest Daniela just to show y'all I'm not lying. I put Priest Daniela, I downloaded it and I put it in Chat GPT. Right here. I put it in Chat GPT. Got it, Garfield. I break the argument down. The core structure of the argument. Premise: European history has been systematically whitewashed. The claim most original medieval art in Europe was destroyed, therefore modern images. Evidence he cites: Oliver Cromwell allegedly oversaw destruction of 97% of English religious art. This included statues, manuscripts. Conclusion he draws: you cannot trust Renaissance and post-Renaissance art to tell you what medieval people look like. Methodological claim: you must reconstruct history using other evidence. He argues that instead of paintings, you must use coins, statues, surnames, geography, coat of arms, contemporary written descriptions, linguistics, cartography, and not Google images or later paintings. Anglo-Saxons were allegedly not white Europeans. Claim Anglo equal angelic, Saxon equals sons of Isaac. Therefore, Anglo-Saxons equal Israelites in Europe. He claims early Anglo-Saxon kings were dark-skinned black Israelites. Coins prove early English kings were black. He shows coins of kings like Offa, Ethelbert, other Anglo-Saxon kings, and claims broad noses, thick lips equal Negroid features. Therefore, these kings were black Africans, not Europeans. King James I's lineage is used as a centerpiece. James III, the great grandson of James I, claimed Christie's auction house sold a portrait of James III depicted as black. Therefore, the white version must be a fake repaint. Charles II, grandson of James I, claimed English pubs called the Black Boy were named after Charles II. A BBC source says he was described as abnormally black. Conclusion, if the grandson and great-grandson are black, James I must have been black too. Elizabeth of Bohemia, daughter of James I, paintings of her are inconsistent and contradictory. A coin shows her with afro hair and African features, therefore she was black. She's used to link the Stuart dynasty, Hanover dynasty, modern British monarchy. Queen Charlotte and George III claimed Queen Charlotte was black, citing J.A. Rogers. George III's Barbados penny shows him as black, therefore the Hanover dynasty was black. J.A. Rogers is used as an authority. He relies heavily on nature knows no color line, claims that European nobility had African ancestry, uses crest and heraldry books as proof. Russia, black saints and black tsars. St. Basil claims St. Basil Cathedral contains black icons, therefore St. Basil and early Russians were black. Fedor, son of Ivan the Terrible, claimed Time Life books show Fedor as black. Modern Russian depictions show him white, therefore Russia also whitewashed his past. Number 10, iconoclasm, deliberately erasure of black rule. Core thesis, black Israelites once ruled Europe. Their images were destroyed. Their history was rewritten. Modern Europeans are usurpers. This is the ideological spine of the whole presentation. The logic chain in one sentence, because art was allegedly destroyed and some coins and selective sources show African-looking faces, therefore medieval Europe was ruled by black Israelites and later whites rewrote history. What this is based on analytically, physiognomy, arguments, nose, lips equal race, selective numismatics, J.A. Rogers, misuse of iconoclasm, conflation of medieval art style with race, no genetics, no population archaeology, no contemporary census or burial data, no skeletal anthropology. Why this matters for your projects. All right, if you want next, All right, point by point rebuttal. I won't even, what I'm going to concentrate on first is, let's look at this right here for a second. Point C. I'm not going to address the black boy thing. I'm not going to address that.
No, but how did he come to the conclusion that he was black? Like, what did he use? Did he just go by looks, or did he have?
He said Charles II is black, and his son James III is black.
How did
that means? That means he is also black. That's how he came to the conclusion.
No, but how did it start? Did it come from Africa? He didn't say nothing like, "Oh, he came from such and such place that to make him black. Therefore, this is black and this is black."
Everybody's black, sweetie. Everybody in Europe, Asia, everybody's black. What's wrong?
I'm trying to figure it out.
Black boy pose proof. All right, so this is the first. This is one thing I'm going to address. I'm going to address a few things. Anglo-Saxon means angelic plus sons of Isaac equals Israelites. What he says, Anglo equal angelic, Saxon equals sons of Isaac, therefore Anglo-Saxons were dispersed Israelites. Rebuttal. Anglo-Saxon refers to Germanic peoples, Angles, Saxons, Jews, etc., who migrated to Britain in the late antiquity, early medieval standard scholarship. Anglo comes through Angles, not angelic. Saxon is an ethnonym for a Germanic group, the folk linked to Sax, which is a knife. It's a known etymological discussion, not sons of Isaac. Bottom line, the etymology is simply incorrect and the conclusion collapses. Now, let me say this, by the way. This Saxon sons of Isaac stuff is from British Israelism. They made this up. So when he adopts this, his elders may have, I don't know, I'd have to ask Priest Daniel himself, they may have told him this, and he just wants to believe that this is true. So I don't know if, you know what I'm saying? I don't know that part. I can't explain that part at all. All right. Let's look at this right here. Christie's auction, a black James III portrait proving the line was black. What he says, Christie's supposedly sold a black version as authentic. Repainting explains the white one. I did not find a credible, verifiable Christie's lot record matching this claim in quick web checking. What does come up is unrelated. Christie's content, if he has a lot number, even if a black looking portrait exists, the correct questions are artist date, provenance chain, conservation reports, pigment analysis, documented overpainting. Without that, whitewash is just an assertion. Extraordinary claim, missing the basic documentation burden. Let me do this for the audience real quickly. This is something that I specifically wanted to talk about. All right. This guy, James III. Let me actually play what he actually says so that we can be on the same page. Let me get this right here. Let me play this for the audience so the audience could hear this. All right, listen to this, family.
Okay, he destroyed all the images, right? And the blacks that were living in England, Ireland, and Scotland, he rounded them up and sold them into slavery in the Caribbean and the Americas, and I can prove it, and I will in my 4-hour lecture. That's what happened to the images and us in Europe, as this is a fact, all right? Let's move on. I don't want to stay too long. Y'all get the general gist of this, and you'll see this slide again as we go on later. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, here's another one we want to look at, right? This is a question, without me giving too much away for the lecture coming up, this is a question that I have. The man that you're looking at on the screen is James III, okay? It says, will the real James III please stand up? So we have a question, we have a debate now. Who's really James III? I say the guy on the left is fake. I say the guy on the right is the real guy. The guy on the right is black. The guy on the left is a Caucasian. I say the guy on the right is the real James III. Who is James III? Well, let me break down the history for you. You had King James, the famous King James, the 6th and the 1st, right? He died. His son, Charles I, came into power, right? Charles I was beheaded by Oliver Cromwell, a guy we just read about, because he hated the Stuart family. He finally was able to get a hold of power, and he beheaded King Charles I, and Oliver Cromwell came into power. When Oliver Cromwell died, his son came into power, but his son was a coward. So what his son did was his son brought back the Stuart family, and you had Charles II that came and sat on the throne, which was the grandson of King James. Again, you had King James, you had Charles I, you had Charles II. Charles II died, and his brother came into power, James II, right? And after James II died, this guy on the screen, James III, came into power. My question to James White and Vocab Malone and all the rest of these clowns is, if King James was white, if Charles I was white, if Charles II was white, if James III was white, how the hell did they get a black grandson? Explain that to me. How the hell did they do it? I want to know. And this image is a real image. It's not something that somebody made up in a dark room somewhere. That is Charles III. And if he was already white, why did they feel the need to repaint the image and make it whiter? Because then you can look at that and you can see the Negroid features in the one on the right. The broad nose, the full lips, the brown face, the whole nine. That's a black man. And this is the great grandson of King James, who y'all say was white. So where did the black blood come from? Next slide, Brother Bussy.
All right.
And just in case you think I made it up, you ever heard of Christie's auction house? They got a hold of the image of James III and they auctioned it off. So if the image on the right is not the real image, Boss Team, go back one slide real quick. Go back one slide. Christie's auction house auctioned off the black picture on the right as the authentic. So if the guy on the left, which is what Google Images is going to give you, if the guy on the left is really James III, then why did Christie's auction house auction off the black one on the right as being authentic? Go to the next slide, Bossy. And this picture belongs to a private collector because, again, they don't want these images laying around for Negroes to get a hold of. But these things leak out and we get a hold of them anyway. So here we have the great-grandson of King James, who everybody says was white, being a black man. I want to know what y'all going to do. I want an explanation for that. Y'all just insisted he was a white boy. I need an explanation in where this black guy come from the line. That's your homework. Next slide, Brother Basi. James III, pictured on the right, became king in 1701. He's the great-grandson of King James, the famous one, 1566 to 1625. But again, how was this black man the grandson of King James I, when historians say James I was a white man and his son Charles I was white? And why did they feel the need to repaint the image if he was a white man to begin with? It's the same image, y'all. See the leather thing on the left? You see the leather thing on the left shoulder? You see the armor? You see all that? They just changed it, changed the nose, changed the lips and everything. And the guy on the left looks gay too. I'm just saying. Next.
Let me ask y'all on the panel, right? What proof did he provide that the guy on the right is James III?
Lookership, belief, and flam. He tried to skew the.
No. I need a direct answer. I want to know, what did he give? Mika, what did he provide that was evidence that he was black?
I think he used lookership because I didn't hear anything else.
Biggest Titan, whatever that is, what did Priest Daniela show? That was evidence.
I don't know. Lookership.
All right. I want to make it clear to everybody else here, right? Nobody is perfect when it comes to research. And one of the main problems is, if you read my methodology when it came to Jacob earlier, I said that you can't have a belief or a non-belief when you're researching that person. So you can't come in with your belief. I know he's black. I know he's not black. You got to go in with your head straight on, going where the information leads. There is absolutely nothing that Priest Daniela showed that this guy is He has armor on, that he's black. That he's James. No, that he's James III.
Oh,
that's the issue. I don't have the idea, because you know what? I asked sorry, Motep, to translate the thing for me. I'm gonna show y'all in a minute what my brother did for me on my timeline. So because they both have on some armor, that means the pick is whitewash. Watching this scholarship, I realized one thing: suitors will always win. So this guy is a fake, and this is from the real www.history.com website, which is ran by a white woman, by the way. So he looks gay, but this guy who has the same, like a wig on with the armor. All right, let's take a look at this right here. The guy who is the artist is Francois de Troyes. Francois de Troyes did draw James III. That there's no doubt in my mind he did. But look at what it says right here. Portrait, this is in French, by the way. Portrait of such and such in armor. This is Francois de Troyes. Did he copy this from somewhere? How did this end up? It's the guy that always paint people with armor. That's his ammo. That's what he does. That don't prove it's not. This is him again, Francois de Troyes, some of his other work. And by the way, if you notice, this is price is 75,000. I wonder what the price is for James III. Let's take a look. 27,000 euros. But look at what it says. Portrait of a mulatto in armor. Ladies and gentlemen, they don't even know who this guy is. Let me repeat it so Priest Daniel could hear and make a video about it. They don't even know who this guy is. So how is he James? What evidence do you have this is James III? That's all I want. Just show me the evidence. It's not about being right or wrong. The methodology is flawed. It's straight up ass, as my boy Yawasap would say. It's garbage. How did you come to the conclusion this is James III? I'm trying to figure out, I'm trying to walk with you. There's nothing he showed. Oh, and the guy, if he's black, King James is black. If he's black and Charles II is black, Charles II is not even black either. I won't even get into that. I'll leave that for the debate, because that's easy work. But the point is, he has armor on. This guy has armor on. So did they copy this picture from that guy, that fake Charles III? There's absolutely no evidence this is Charles III. It just says a portrait of a mulatto in armor. That's all it says. It don't say nothing else. There's no records of this guy. There's nothing for us to have fun with him. Nothing. This is Francois de Troyes, the same guy that drew the thing. This is some of his works or whatever, right? This is James III, images that we found. Here's armor right here. So that means that they changed it from black to white. This is him. I think this is him in engraved. There's some engraved images from MPG. Same guy. So now they're saying that this guy is this guy. So this is a description. The young man is above the middle height and very thin. He wears a light bag wig. His face is rather long, the complexion clear but borders on paleness. That sounds like a black man to me. Right, Mika? His face is rather long, the complexion clear but borders on paleness. Oh my God. The eyes are fairly large, blue but without sparkle. Mouth, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how these guys, they don't make correction videos. Because I got to go back and make a video about that penny stuff that he made too, man. I forgot I got to make a video about a response to that video. I didn't want to because I said I wouldn't. But the Barbados penny is another thing too, where it's like, I want to prove somebody is black so bad, right? Let's take a look at this real carefully. Look at this right here. Will the real George stand up? Hold on. Let me see if I have it right here. All right, here we go. Now, he makes a presentation and he says, look at her picture, the African features on Charlotte, right? Now, the guy that drew Charlotte is the same guy that drew this picture of George III. So this is not, so the same painter is not good enough to George III. You see, some of the methodology, you just gotta laugh, yo. And then they use J. Rogers like, oh, J. Rogers is a popular guy. But scholars know George J. Rogers. He misunderstood a lot of the stuff too. It's not that we better than him, but we're in a different age. We're 60, 78 years later. We could make corrections to where the elders went wrong. We get better. We improve on their work. Look at this right here.
Now we got to ask about George III. Charlotte Sophia was married to this guy right here. This is King George III. On the left-hand side, you see an image of George III that you can find on Google Images with ease. On the right-hand side, you see an image of who also is George III. That's the real image. That is a coin that was minted in commemoration of George III that was put on the penny in Barbados. So when they went ahead and they were destroying all the black art and putting up the garbage that you see on the left, as I said before, the coins still remained. They didn't get to the coins to destroy them. They weren't able to melt them all down. They were still in circulation. And luckily they've been found. And that guy on the left, on the right-hand side, is an image of George III. That's the real image of how he looked. Now, somebody's saying, nigga, how do you know that? How do you know that? Next slide. Well, you like Google so much, why don't you just type it in? I took a screenshot of a Google search just so people wouldn't say that I just made it up. You type in Google Images, George III, Barbados penny, and voila.
You know what I just realized too? I didn't realize before. Is this figure right here? You have the penny right here, the top one, right? The figure behind here is George III. Is George III. Is this figure the same as the figure on the front?
Have the images of penny from Barbados, and Google is telling you, if you're listening, that is George III. That's him. Not the guy that you saw before. Hope everybody sees that, right? Now, if you look also, they throw in, at the bottom, second row, they throw in some other coins as well. But those coins are not ancient. They were not minted during the time of George III. When you do research, the coins that you see that look more Caucasian, these coins were minted later on, just so y'all know, all right? Next slide.
You know what's funny about this George III thing right here? I find it very funny that the images that he has of himself is very well defined. They are so well defined. This right here is African with a crown. This is a Barbados penny. It was not nationalized by the British people. It was somebody else that put it out, Philip Gibbs. But I say that to say this: we got to be very careful when we listen to people. You see, Priest Daniela is trying to recruit people into his mindset. I'm trying to tell people off the bat. I'm giving you both sides. I'm letting him speak and I'm put out the information. It says right here, the 1788 and 1792 issues in proof and for currency use without a color. After the death in 1805, The dies and the punches were acquired by Matthew Young, a dealer in coins and medals. Young restruck the 1788 and 1792 issues in proof condition in a color. The color is lacking on the original proof specimen struck at the time of issue. The number of restrikes was very limited and they are much sought after today. Readers are referred to Pridmore Volume 3 for illustration and the coin. So this was a guy by the name of Philip Gibbs. So Philip Gibbs got this printed. This is not by the English government. This is by a private plantation owner. That alone should tell you it's a problem. Where you going to find this outside of Barbados being used? I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. There's no, but the bottom line is though, but there's no evidence this is King, what you call it? This is King George. What is the evidence that this is King George? It says, I serve with the face. Why would the king face be on something that says, I serve? That's kind of suspicious. And he does have the plume of Wales on. I ain't going front. But who is this guy right here? It don't say this is George III or nothing. It don't say nothing. What does it say? It don't say nothing. What does it say?
Garfield, did you ever play his recent video on the coin?
No. I didn't play that. But if you notice, he said in one of his videos that I used to teach this, but I don't teach this no more. He's running from it being king. He's trying to run from it being John III. You got to make a video, priest, and said, I was wrong, but they can't say Garfield was right. They can't say that. Because it's a cult. So if Priest Daniel, you see, this is why the King James debate is so important for us as a community full of anti-intellectualism. Because once you knock him down, all the dominoes fall. Because he's looked on or represented as the King James guy. And I'm going to prove he don't know nothing about King James. He don't know nothing. He fronting. Because if he really did research King James, he would have found the primaries I found for King James. If he really was about that life. He's not about that life. He's about a life that you won't study. Ain't nobody got no time to study if King James is black or white. Ain't nobody got time for that, but Garfield do. So Garfield dig, and then I'll go on Facebook and I'll put a post in one of them Israelite groups, see what their responses is, get my arguments better. So when they beat up something that I bring, I come back with something else to counter what they did till they can't respond no more. Then I say, I got him. I put up a post the other day, Deuteronomy 28 is fulfilled between Joshua and Kings, just to see the response that I've got. You learn from it. I ain't saying I'm right or wrong, or I don't care about that shit. But I want to see their arguments so I could make my arguments better. This penny right here is a fascinating penny to the point where the guy, the idiot, another idiot, King's monologue, he's another idiot, gonna say that, oh, George IV is really the guy on the penny. It's not George III, and it's George IV. I know Priest Daniel will probably watch that and be like, yo, for real? Don't change your argument, Priest Daniel. Please don't change it. That's stupidity. Because that's just crazy right now. But I want to do something else that he said. He's pointed about Elizabeth of Bohemia coin shows an Afro point F. I want to address the point F issue with Elizabeth of what do you call it? Let's take a look at Elizabeth for a second. Because this is important also. Let's take a look at this.
Let's bring it a little closer to home, right? Now stay with me, y'all. This is Elizabeth of Bohemia. She is actually the physical daughter of King James himself. It is through her that the Hanover dynasty, which came into power after the Stuarts, it is through her that the Hanover dynasty came into power. Now, the whitewashers couldn't get the lie straight. Did Elizabeth of Bohemia have black curly hair? Did she have red curly long hair? Did she have a red afro? Did she have red long curly hair like all the way on the right? I got that from Google Images. They can't even get their lies straight. They got this woman looking like 5 different things. You know why? You know why the images don't match? Because they're all lies. That's why. That's why. Because as we read before, Oliver Cromwell destroyed 97% of the art that was in England. So all of this is garbage. When you look to the right, This is a coin of Elizabeth of Bohemia. And you can see she has the broad nose, the full lips, and the afro. Why? Because she was a Black woman. That's why. And the image still stands today on this coin, even though the other images were destroyed. All right? Now remember, I said it is through her that the Hanovers came into power, meaning through her line, the Hanover dynasty came into power. Remember, you had the Tudors, right? Mary Queen of Scots was the last of the Tudors. After the Tudors, you had the Stuarts, okay? And the Stuarts were Black. After the Stuarts, you had the Hanovers, right? So now this woman is the progenitor of the Hanover dynasty. Let's look at some of the Hanover people, shall we? Next slide. This is Queen Charlotte Sophia. Now, if these people were all white, why do they go through so much trouble of whitewashing them? On the left, I went to Google Images and I got all these images of Queen Charlotte Sophia. Clearly, you can see that they just made her totally look like a white woman. But on the right, that's the real image of Charlotte Sophia. And it was painted by her personal painter, Alan Ramsay. And if you ask me, yes, I have the book. Yes. The image on the right is the actual image of Queen Charlotte Sophia. She is the wife of King George the...
You know what? I need to look up something with Alan Ramsay. Let's Google Alan Ramsay for a second. Let's see right here. Let me take this off the screen. And let me go on Google for a second. Let's look up Alan Ramsay, right? Because Alan Ramsay drew the George III picture too. Queen Charlotte portraits. I'm going to put portraits because he said it's a personal person. So let's look at Alan Ramsay, Queen Charlotte portraits. Let's look at the images that he made. All right, let's go to National Portrait right here. I'm going to allow this. This is one right here, Charlotte of Mecklenburg. See this portrait? Okay. Okay. I love it. Ooh, this is a Black girl right here, man. She's Black. On display in room 15 on floor 3. All right, now watch this. Let's come down a little bit. Let's come down a little bit here. All right. Let's go to Alan Ramsay real quick and see what pops up. So this is Queen Charlotte, right? This is Queen Charlotte. And look below right here. The same guy, Alan Ramsay, right? He made this a George III, but it's the Barbados penny. It's the same. You see the methodological problems? Same guy drawing both of them. But the one that he drew is wrong. Now let me see if I could find any other images that he did of Queen Charlotte. Hold on 1 second. As a matter of fact, let me do this. Let's go to Queen Charlotte. Queen Charlotte. Let me see if there's any more by this guy. All right, hold on 1 second. Let's do a different search. Alan Ramsay is actually Alan Ramsay, not Alan Ramsay. Alan Ramsay. How many? Alan Ramsay produced a significant number of Queen Charlotte portraits with his studio creating over 150 pairs. So production, let me see, were recorded along with at least 9 of the Queen alone. Okay, so let me find the 9 of the Queen alone. Queen Charlotte orders for 150 pairs, 26 of the King alone, 9 of the Queen alone are listed. Let's look at the ones that the guy actually made, because that's very important. Because if we're going to look at her pictures, we need to know who did it. Alan Ramsey did this one. Is this one black or white? Is that a black picture or a white picture? Because now you could tell just by lookership what's black and what's white.
She albino.
Nah, she ain't. No, she ain't. It's another one by Alan Ramsey. Another one by Alan Ramsey. Another one. This is the same picture? Must be the same picture over and over. All right. Hold on a second. People involved. Let's
How
go.
we measuring black? Like, how we doing that though?
Hold on a second. Let me do this. Studio of Alan Ramsey. Artist. Attributed to him. Queen Charlotte. Let's go to Queen Charlotte of England as subject. All right. Alan Ramsey. Now look at this one. This is Alan Ramsey right now. So he decided to make her extra light skin. This is the same guy. Same guy. Look at the kids. Look at them kids with them blue eyes. Blonde hair, blue eyes. That's her kids? Oh, they look like the dad. They got it from the dad. Don't worry about it. But look at how light she looks in this picture. So the same artist, she looks lighter. Let's go to another picture. Matter of fact, let me go to Alan Ramsey. So that's one by him. Most of her pictures, she looks European to me, but I'm not the one to judge if she's a color or whatever. She looks European to me. And certain pictures she took, she looks like she has something, like she's mixed. But I wanted to concentrate on that guy's picture, Alan Ramsey. I'll take care of that on a personal level. But let's get back to this presentation, because that's very important. Shout out to Top Flight in the building, man. So let's go back to this right here.
Third of the Hanover dynasty that was ruling England in the 1700s. This is after the Stuarts, after King James. Still we was ruling.
We who?
But they said that we just making this stuff up.
Yes, you are.
Next slide.
All right. And I don't even have any qualms, but this is the picture that he has that he was showing. You know, you're going to see it on these websites right here, Black Britain, realhistorywww.com and africanresource.com. Yeah, but I mean, this is King James' wife. Let me see what we got here. Okay. Yeah, but anyway, whatever. It was supposed to be not Anne of Denmark, but for his wife. I actually had the daughter. This is the daughter's picture. That's on what you call it. So he's saying this is fake. But if you notice something about her nose here, right, and the hairstyle, even if you look at her hairstyle, let's look at her hairstyle here. You see her nose. If you notice something about this picture, it looked like somebody blotched her nose or whatever. Look at her nose, made her nose bigger, her lips bigger. Look at her picture right here. This is the same, probably the same picture. Why her nose got to be re-angled? Anytime a Hebrew Israelite brings some fake picture, I got to check it out. I don't know if the picture is fake or not. I'm not even going to go there. But it's just so interesting that her stuff here look like somebody has broadened the nose or made the nose flatter. And on this picture, her nose looks a little bit straighter. She has an aquiline nose. And her lips look thin. Look at her lips. It looks thin in that picture. But in this picture, her lips are made to be looked in bigger, like African lips. I don't know if this is through wear and tear or somebody's purposely doing this. But anything with an Hebrew Israelite is always suspicious with me. Always. Well, that's just crazy. That's just crazy. That's just crazy. Let me see. I'm not going to touch on the black icons in Russia. I'm not going to touch on that. But I'm done. I'm done with this. I'm done with this. I'm done with this for now. I'm done with this for now. But that James Sturd thing, I gotta see why people are saying that they're black, that he's black or whatever. What is the point? You know what I'm saying? Go ahead, guys. Anybody want to jump on? I'm here. Garfield is here. I want the smoke. I want the smoke. Whoever got the smoke, bring it on.
This is the smoke session hour. Hit the link. I don't know. Did y'all think that Garfield gonna have this debate?
I don't think it's gonna happen either.
Oh my goodness! No, because maybe he gave up because he knows it's not true. Who knows?
It's sad that people hold on to stuff. I mean, the whole doctrine is not true. Everything about it is not true. And we gotta put those things aside and say, hey, what is really true or what's going on here? What the hell is this?
Run, run. We need a song about running. Garfield. Why everybody running from Garfield?
Any business can use AI. IBM helps you use AI.
Anybody know what time the next game started on which channel?
Fabio, what you think? You quiet.
I think these dudes are not afraid. I think they know that they don't have anything to actually present. So because they don't have anything to present, they don't want to join a panel. It's everything's been regurgitated. The Black King James shit is retarded. The Stuarts, all that Black Europe, that the Black Death, the Black Plague, and all that was supposed to be about black people weren't ruling Europe and all that. That just
Like
lost people making up stuff.
It got to be black so you feel like it's part of you. But what confused me is that not everybody's black. They start talking about East Indian not black, blah 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 ain't black, da 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 ain't black. But what black is you talking about? Cause it can't be your kind of black. Cause you're a different person. You're a different people. We in America, we're different. So I don't even know what this black thing is.
Right. It's the black Eurocentric creation of the word black. And the black Eurocentric usage of the word black entails everybody that's been oppressed by quote unquote Europeans. So if there has been some type of oppression done by what is called the powers that be, and those powers that be happen to be connected to Zionism, then you are quote unquote black. So those people over there in East India, they may not be quote unquote black because they may not have been colonized and Europeanized or acculturated with the European ideals and living standards and educational systems. So that separates their blackness from the others' blackness.
So Sabia, is only American the black, or what? What you think? Because according
go ahead.
No, according to certain people in America, if you consider yourself black, you will have to be part of the American struggle of the blackness. If I say I'm like from Jamaica or somewhere else, they're gonna be like, "Oh, you not all black, so you not accepted in the black." So what black is? It's like confusing.
Yeah. So the usage of the term black, unfortunately, and I've had a lot of conversations with people from the continent of Africa, different countries on the continent, also all over. And the one question I ask them all do they have a word for black in their language? And they all say yes. They just don't use it to describe themselves. But if anyone was to ask them if they were, or if they would call themselves black, they would say yeah. But we don't call ourselves black. I wonder why I get that from every one of them. So the usage has been misappropriated to designate a particular group of people that happen to be caught up during a time where the usage was used as in a derogatory sense to some people. So that right there is what makes the word black such a hard conversation to actually deal with. Because as we know, there's no such thing as a black gene or a black race.
Right.
But the phenotypes
but
that make that up exist.
I wonder what kind of King James black are they talking about? What's part of the black? Like, what black are we talking about?
Right, the skin, the phenotype, because that's all they can be talking about.
Cause you can't say coming from Africa because you got something about Hamites and blah blah blah. So who's the black? Cause can't be Black American because they didn't even exist then. So what are they? What are we talking about?
You can't be a Black American.
What are we talking about, right?
What are they talking about? But again, they don't even go that far because they're so caught up with this. Everything is black and everything's been stolen from us and we've been lied to. The white man is this, the white man is that. That they don't really actually see. They can't actually see what needs to be seen because they don't want to read and comprehend what they're reading. They read with their beliefs, leading their comprehension. That'll sink in later.
It was a little bit more than that. It was like 8 stitches. I mean, I had the same thing. It's a watermelon. 16 stitches. 16.
Calm down, no.
Interview Face Danielle. Garfield, your sound is loud. What you trying to look for the game?
Yeah, the game is on. Let me turn it down. My bad, guys. My bad. Bad manners.
Yeah, I want
to. Bowl is on.
Freeze. What he says?
I said, the stupid bowl is on.
I'm waiting for that idiot to come on. Akan here or whatever he's that fake Akan.
Uh-oh.
The Islam brew.
Crazy out here, man. You wouldn't have Islam without Hebrews, you wouldn't have Islam. So the mother and father of it is all about the Bible. So without the Bible, there's no Islam. It's just facts. It's not a knock, it's just the truth. That's the truth. When are you going to finish the work on the Hamitic hypothesis? I don't know. I got so much books I'm working on. I'm trying to get myself together for the next 25 years of my life or 30 years. I got to map everything out in advance. I'm like a woman right now. That's how women think.
Excuse you?
Women always think ahead.
Oh, okay.
That's maturity. That's maturity, sweetheart. Okay.
What's dash whatever he talk about? Hit the link. He's saying Sabio is dumb or something. Hit the link and show us.
That's your. You see, they're in my audience, but they won't come on because they'll come and fight Sabio, but they won't come and fight me. Here comes the boy right here. Here comes the Akan crazy guy right here. What's up, man? And I hope you could share your screen and whatever, man. I'm not doing nothing for you.
This is your time, Akan. So use it wisely and be nice.
I'm walking away. Go ahead. I'm listening.
Let's go.
Peace, Mika, man. Peace, man. What's up, man? What's up? You lot putting me on the spot, man. What's going on, man?
Come on, hit him.
What's going on?
You said the hold on. Let's go back. You said the Ptolemy map shows Ghana. So
Oh no, I was talking to Mika separately. No, that's come on, man. We know it's attested for Garfield.
Let me ask you a question, right?
Go on.
Did you say last week that the Ghana Empire, Ghana is on the map? Did you say Ghana was on the map? Yes or no?
Yep. Be careful how you object, you know.
I'm asking you a question. Answer the question, man. Stop philosophizing. You like everything about a philosophy.
You gotta blame yourself, you know. The more you kick me off and agitate, the more you can't. I'm with you, Garfield.
Step away, right?
Man. I just asked one clarifying question and you can't answer the question. I just asked you, are you saying Ghana is on the map of Ptolemy? That's all I'm asking. Okay,
That's
sure.
how even Ghana today got our name.
I want you to show the audience. Show the audience. Don't talk. Show. Don't talk. Show. I'll share your screen. Let's go. Show us.
My screen right now. I could give you the source.
Put the map in the side chat and I'll put it on the screen for you. Put the map up.
Let me see
Put the map up.
And the
Is that fair, Mika? To put the map in the side chat and I'll put it up for him. Is that being fair?
Yeah. This is your
I'm just being fair today.
No, I'm not gonna put up the Greek because I don't want to, but I'm gonna put up a map for equivalent to the one.
No, I want the map of Ptolemy showing Ghana. Stop trying to be slick. Garfield is very knowledgeable. I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to be slick. Now I want the map of Ptolemy. I don't want the map of somebody else. You see, this is what happens when you slow things down. People jump out the window, can't say, you know what? I was wrong about this. So we're gonna deal with the Ptolemy map showing Ghana. That's all I want to see.
Come on, Akan, don't let me down. I got your back. I guess he's looking for it right now.
I got time. My game's about to start, but I got time. I was going to end the show, but I'll keep it on just for you.
This is the Akan hour.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, y'all been at it for years. Back and forth, off and on, beef and I mean, geez. Let's just get it over with.
Always been wrong and always will be wrong.
Yeah, I told you get all your stuff together because pow.
You want me to remove the other one that you have up? Because you're signing under two different things. You want me to remove that? Are you going to echo when you come off mic?
Maybe something wrong with his song or something.
I know he ain't in Africa because African signal is very good. He must be England or America. England, America got effed up Wi-Fi, so he ain't in Africa. Africa got the whole shit unlocked, man.
So Garfield, according to you and him, since he's taking a while to come up, according to you and him, like beef or whatever y'all got going on, could you summarize what he's trying to show you or what he's trying to do?
He's trying to connect Akan people to ancient ancestors, saying that they come from Israelites. That's what he said. He said their ancestors are Israelites. I say no, you made that up. Okay. He's saying now that the map of Ptolemy has Ghana on it. I'm saying Ptolemy made up a map which is actually proven to not even be real anyway. It's not true, not a true map of the world. But as far as what he's saying, he doesn't have Ghana on his map. There's nowhere where it says Ghana. No way. The Ghana Empire didn't even exist yet. So how it's going to have Ghana on there? That don't make no damn sense.
So you got to prove that, Akan. Once you go past that part, then we could go further. But if you can't prove that, it's a wrap.
Then I don't even have to say nothing. Jeremiah is here. I don't have to open my mouth. I don't even have to open my mouth. Jeremiah gonna kill him. 2 seconds. Boom, boom, boom. It's over. It's over. We don't tolerate stupidity when it comes to our ancestors. And
Yeah,
this is
we
stupidity.
do.
This is stupidity. So
Can
now
you hear me, Mika?
go ahead. We could hear you. Go ahead.
Can you not hear me, yeah?
That's where I'm you
Yeah, we
stupid.
can-
Bro. That's where I'm stupid.
Yeah, Mika, can you hear me, yeah?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah. Basically, you have to go to William Martin Leach. Yeah, he quotes everything. What I'm talking about is pretty much there. Maps it out. It's all there. But you see, us naming Ghana, that was the seal of the deal. Why we named Ghana. Part of that was our argument. It's not my argument. I didn't bring this up no rabbit hat. This is documented in our thing, bro. So be careful what you're talking about.
No. Hold on, Mika. Hold on 1 second. Are you saying that the word Ghana is documented on Ptolemy's map?
Yes, Thadmod Khan.
Okay, stop. What is your proof of that?
It's in the same location as where it should be.
That's Christ of mercy.
Have you seen where the location is?
Yo, this is stupid.
If you haven't, then you're blind arguing with me.
This is stupid. This is stupid. Are you going to put the map in the side chat? If you're not going to put the map in the side chat, so I could put it on the screen, so whoever watches the video later could say, you know what? I can't do this correct. All you got to do is put it in the side chat.
It's like I can't. It's not.
Well,
Okay, bro. Hold on. Wait.
Where can we find that?
Wait, man. Let me. You know what we're gonna do, yeah? Mika, send your email address, yeah? I'm gonna send you the source in it, yeah? Listen, I put it on my soul. Garfield ain't gonna object by next week. He ain't really got nothing else to say. I put it on my soul.
All you do is argue in the chat.
Of our argument.
No, you can't. There's no Ghana. There's no Ghana on Ptolemy's map, yo. That is garbage, yo. Prove it. Prove it. If you can't prove it, shut the fuck up. Prove it, nigga. You can't prove that shit because you're a liar. These niggas be lying for this bullshit, yo. This shit is crazy out here, yo. Who the hell out here teaching that Ghana is on the Ptolemy's map? Which idiot is teaching that? The first time Ghana appears on the map is Ali Yakubi, the Arabic source. There's no Ghana on no map, yo. That shit is garbage, yo. If you got the proof, bro, if you was on here last week and you couldn't show it last week, I would have shown. Don't talk over me, bro. If you had a conversation last week and like, yo, I'm gonna beat up Garfield on his own show. You got the chance to correct me, which I don't mind being corrected, bro. Because we don't know everything. We humble. But the issue with you is you can't prove it with your talking.
I can. It's been proven. Not online.
Show it. Send it to Mika. Don't say another word. Send it to Mika. Mika got her email in the chat. She sent her a private email. She only I got that email. Now she gave it to you. So now let's get it.
Garfield, chill. I want to ask you something. Where
no,
did the Arabs get the
you want to see the map? No, I'm not answering nothing.
No, relax, man.
No, I'm not answering nothing.
Put your email in the chat. Let me send it to you. So yeah,
we want the map. We don't care about none of that bullshit talk. That Brooklyn magic shit.
Hey, listen, relax, man. Why are you so pressured for?
I'm not behavior only because you're mad disrespectful. You're mad disrespectful.
I'm not disrespectful.
And you're a liar. I hate liars. I'm not mad at nothing. Show the map, nigga.
You're worried about me being right.
Show the map. You know what? I'm gonna walk away. When he shows the map, let me know. I'm gonna walk away from the program.
I ain't sending you no Greek map. Hell no. What to up your thing? No. I'm gonna give you something to read, a scholarly source, and then by next week you're gonna be quiet. But I ain't giving you fake treasures. No.
Ain't no Greek map with Ghana. What are you talking about?
You're too arrogant, Garfield. You're too pompous. You think you don't want to be corrected. If you was humble, maybe I would have had a bit of humility. Like, you know what? Here, what?
You're not.
How
So
how's a Greek map with Ghana in it if it was called the Gold Coast before Ghana? What are you talking about, man? What are you talking about, man?
hey, Mika, don't give up government. You know.
Man, listen, these are cons aren't Israelites, bro. There's early explorers who wrote about the Akans.
I don't need to say another word. Jermaine is there. I'm good. I'm watching my game. I'm watching my Knicks game. I got time for Mika. That's bullshit. I know bullshit when I hear it. That's bullshit.
Yeah, I mean there's early explorers, right, who wrote about the Akans.
If you say Garfield, you wrong, and you wrong from last week, and you're like, I'm gonna beat Garfield up, wouldn't you have this shit ready?
Yeah.
Oh shit, I didn't send you nothing.
That nigga garbage.
Bro, I ain't got nothing to prove to you. What do I need to prove? Wait.
This nigga come here every week.
You see what you just said? No. I have to pull you up on that. Who are you though?
You're garbage.
Respectfully speaking, who are you for me to be like, oh, I need to prove No, I'm laughing at you because you lack knowledge and you think you're right. But hold on, wait a minute. You know what I mean? That's talking too much. You're meant to be a granddad, you know? Like, raw, like, just talking, I'm watching my game, like, relax, fam.
Bro, cons are not Israelites, bro.
Have decorum.
Can you explain to the audience why, like, the early explorers, why they didn't say the Akans were Israelites? There's plenty of early explorers who wrote about the Akans, and none of them mentioned them being Israelites.
Well, we've got Dutch, when Dutch was around in Ghana, William Bowman, he spoke about something. Anyway, let me not talk, man. This is just giving.
When I say early explorers, I mean from the 1400s
like, you know what I mean?
to the 1700s.
I'm tired of that. Like, just annoying. Hold on, send a copy. Hold on. Let me go email. There we go. I'm gonna say no more, man. Just talking too much. Just talking. Hold on. It's not letting me send you now. It's on JSTAR, innit? If you want to laugh and say, oh, I lost, I don't really care. It's on JSTAR, innit? It's called The Sources, the Journal of the Royal Geographical Society of London, 1830.
Where is telling me map showing Ghana? That's all we asking for, nigga. You bullshit. You see, you want to bullshit us for another hour. You see, Mika, I left the show open for this dude, and what happened? He can't even show nothing. He's garbage. I always said it. He's garbage. Trying to tell black people that they're part of some ancestor of Israel. Garbage. Straight garbage.
Hey, Mika, bear with me. I'm gonna send you. I don't really care. I don't really care. Garfield kicked me off or whatever. I don't really care. I'm not really sure. Like you don't know Ghanaians. You actually forget the Israelite thing. You genuinely don't know my folks. Look at you arguing with me over this. So you're telling me Kwame Nkrumah don't know what I'm talking about?
It's not about the map, no. It's not about the map. It's me knowing Ashanti or Akan people.
Hey, you lot. This is where I get my info from. You see this book here? You see this book here? You see this man here? This is who beat the people Garfield's bum sucking to. That he wants to object that Ghana wasn't attested to. Yeah? He put them to bed. Yeah? This is where I get my info from. If you want to know. Yeah? With your big self. You don't know my people. Why are you talking like you know my folks? You are a Westernized, lunatic Jamaican. Like, what are you talking about? Talking rubbish, bro. That's how we got our name Ghana. That was part of our argument. The Europeans was doing exactly what you're doing. Oh, bro, he put them to bed. Put them to bed. But we got people like you carrying on the European argument. What are you talking about? Bro, go home and go and learn and do some work on the name of Ghana and why the Arabs attested to it before you keep talking out your ass.
The Arabs did not say you guys were Jews, bro.
You know what I'm saying? I ain't got nothing
The
else
Arabs
to say.
never wrote that you guys were Jews, bro. Stop these
the source,
games, man.
Yeah? Peace.
The Israelites didn't even look Ghanaian. He left.
No, I didn't get the source. Yeah, son. I'm still waiting. But I guess
You see, this is the problem, right? This is the problem, right? He wants to talk about me knowing Ghana gods or whatever. Where did the name Ghana come from? It has nothing to do with that map. That's the bottom line. You see, when we stay on topic, he wants to get it all. You don't know nothing about my people. You're talking like the white man. You see, now we get defensive and crazy. For what reason? I don't know. All I ask for is to prove that the map comes from that area. That is not difficult. That is easy. So this shows you are fake and you don't know what you're talking about. If you notice, I didn't cut you off. I didn't kick you out. I allowed you to rant. I went and watched my game. Then I came back.
that's why they run where that song goes.
Shit.
I was waiting for a sort. I had his back because I'm like, let's get this over with. But I don't know what to say about what just happened. This is crazy. I just wanted to see the map. He talking about the name came from such and such. Just show it.
Origin of Ghana name. Let's see what my chat GPT says. Ghana was a royal title, not the country's original name. Ghana was the title of the ruler of the empire. Rough meaning war chief, warrior king, or supreme military leader. The people and state call themselves Wagadu or Akwar in some Arabic sources. King equals Ghana. Kingdom equal Wagadu. Outsiders call the whole state Ghana by metonymy. This is similar to calling Rome equal Caesar or Egypt equal Pharaoh. So Ghana is not even you know what? I'm not even going to go there. I'm going to leave that alone. The term Ghana comes from the Soninke language. Soninke speakers were the founders and rulers of the empire. It has no Hebrew, Arabic, Greek, or Egyptian etymology.
That's what Garfield?
Yes, that's what it says. I'm reading it directly.
Put the people and show him.
Laugh out loud, chat GPT. Now look at this now. He says, the Journal of the Royal Geographical Society of London, 1832. Is that saying, what is that saying? What is that saying exactly? What is that supposed to say? You know what? Let me go to my JSTAR account and find that article right now. Because these niggas are liars. Liars. Let me go to my JSTAR account and let me go find that article right now, just to show you're a bigger liar. Yo, this is why people hate me, man. People hate me. They know why they hate Garfield, yo. They hate this nigga right here, yo. They can't stand my ass. Because I'm the worst. I know all y'all secrets. Y'all niggas are just liars. That's why they don't want to debate Garfield. They're scared. They're doing what they're doing because they're just liars. Stop lying to black people, yo. Stop that shit, yo. Now, let me get this journal that he's talking about. Let me get it right here. Let me screenshot it. Let me copy it, put it in my JSTAR account. And let me find this shit right now. 1832. Let's see if it even exists. Volume number. The Journal of the Royal Geographer. I can't find it. I don't know. There's a couple of things up here. I don't see what it is. Just send the article. Why you ain't just send the article in the back chat when you was logged in? Why we gotta go search for shit and all type of bullshit? 1832. No, I'm not even going to try and find that. You should have volume 2, 1832. You know, from the jump. No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You need to read. You need to provide a source. You just not equipped and think you are. And you was on stage and couldn't do nothing. Yo, I'm done. Hey, I'm done, man. I'm gonna go watch my game, man. I'm having fun. Say, yo, you and Mika want to talk about anybody else or any other information y'all want to ask me about? Because ain't no Israelite or no fake ass Akan could come against me. I don't care how much of the history you know. You're a bullshitter. You're a bullshitter. That's what you are. You want to be a fucking Israelite. Get out of here.
I'm disappointed. I'm very disappointed.
After Mika beg for the blood clot fossil. Fossil to bomber clot bring up. Get out of here, man. Fuck out of here.
Oh my God.
Nah. If there's no Islama bruise or Akana bruise or Israel liars that's going to join the panel, then the information you bring is just helping me, learn more about classical history and this culture that got these fools infatuated. But as you said, let the idiots be idiots.
Hey, you know what, Mika?
Yeah.
He can't say that there's no Ghana on the map of Ptolemy. He can't say that. Because then it's just like with Priest Daniela. Priest Daniela can't go live and say, Golf, you're right. They can't say I'm right because they hate me. They hate the fact that I'm right. That's the problem. You got to get behind your ego, man. Listen, if you're right about something, bro, I'm like, yo, you know what, bro? You right, bro. It's no big deal to me. I'm not losing nothing. I don't care. I'm always a student first. But I am the teacher of this community because y'all full of bullshit. That's what it is. Y'all full of shit. But anyway, I'm out of here, man. If y'all want to talk about something, I'll leave it open. If y'all want to stay on.
No, yeah, but on other news, Garfield, did you hear about the Tommy Sotomayor thing on TMZ? Because you didn't speak on that.
Oh, let me talk on that right now. First of all, Thomas Sotomayor, they know what Thomas Sotomayor is before they bring him on. So don't act like, oh, did you know history or whatever? They know exactly what he is. You know what I'm saying? So when you know what somebody is, you don't need to, you ask them a question because you know what you're doing for your program. So they know that fake Thomas Sotomayor is. Bro, don't come on here and try to interrupt me like you want.
Why are you saying fake?
Bro, I'm talking. Don't you hear me talk?
Lord.
I could fake it to make it too, buddy.
Well, back to Thomas Sotomayor. Yeah, so the thing with the president, it started with Trump putting out that video or that clip on Obama. Did you see it, Sabio?
Yeah. I talked about that earlier with Javen Woods video.
Okay. But man, y'all two gonna always be at it for some reason, because you and the Akon guy, I give up. I give up because Fabio, you there?
Yo, what up, Mika?
Yeah, what you want?
Fake account is on here. The fake account is on here. He's still on here.
Okay. Do you have any information you want to show Garfield before?
Garfield.
Do you have any information?
Garfield,
do you have any information? Yes or no?
Garfield, I'm a son.
Do you have any information?
You see the way?
Do you have any information? No. Next. I'm not wasting no time with no niggas this year. This is 2026. I gave you a chance. I kick you off. I run you out the show. I kick you out. You come back. You still don't have no information. You're full of it, bro. Nobody cares what you have to say. Fuck that. Because I'm sick of you lying ass niggas. Lying for what reason? For a belief? To trick black people? Into what? To thinking that they're Israelites?
Why we gotta be Israelite though? There's so many other stuff. Why we can't just be something different and better? Like better people you know, and financial literacy and other stuff, educated, you know, something. We stuck on want to be Israelite, ancient people, and they wasn't even like a big. Y'all make it seem like the whole world was an Israelite. No, they were just a small group of people. I don't know. Savior, help us. Oh my God. This is like a fight that seems like it's not gonna ever end. See, but look, we've been asking you to show it on the map. I put the link in the chat. How you gonna put the link in the chat?
Woo! Because there's no link. It's or you gonna put a link in the chat and you're not a moderator. Put the link in the side chat. Put it right here, right now. There's your chance. Put it right now. There you go. There you go, Akan. You got the chance right now. Put the link in the side chat so I could click on it.
Nah, man, I'm on the other phone, innit?
Oh, so now you're on the other phone. Yo, you can't make this shit up, yo.
Wait.
Make this shit up. You can't. You can't make it up. You can't
okay, what you show? I'm trying to rock with you. I'm trying to rock with you. Let me see. You see the map still?
No. Talk too much. That's the problem.
Garfield, you missed the map.
That's the problem. Garfield, you talk too much. Don't you think? What do you really know about my people, though? Because you talk like you know the Akans.
Okay, you tell us about your people. And Garfield, don't say
no,
nothing.
Garfield learned 13 years. Tell me some proverbs. I want to hear some proverbs. Because within these proverbs, it teaches us the way of life. So you pretty much know about Ghana morality and what to define what's true and what's not. So I want to know, what proverbs can you say to me right now to humble me? Because you're the elder. You should know a lot of proverbs right now, don't you think? Because you talk out your ass too much. That's the problem. Don't you think?
Yeah, that could be a proverb too.
That is like, you know, with the stupid elder, you know, the idiot elder, you know, them ones that's not humble to learn from the youngsters. I don't want to be spitting up too many proverbs, but bro, Garfield, you don't know my people. So before you talk to a born, breaded, blooded, thick as yo, you can't teach me my people. Who are you? It's good online, but offline, bro, you can't talk like that. You're just doing some ego thing for the net, and you're an old man, and it makes it more funny. You got grandkids. Behave yourself. You know, like that.
Garfield,
yeah.
I don't have grandkids, by the way. By the way, let me not say this.
Anyway,
where is
like
the
a granddad, innit? I could be wrong.
Is the source?
God's gonna bless you with grandkids.
Where is the source? My brother, all you gotta be is humble and be like, yo, there's no.
But you're not humble with me as well. You're moving like I cuss your mum from long time. No, I didn't. I just come with different views. I don't come with the Hebrew Israelite package. I'm different, and that's the problem. That's your problem. You don't know how to tackle my argument. It's well sophisticated, put together. This is the issue.
Can you answer the question, bro?
Bro, Garfield, is Ghana attested for? Yes or no?
It's not attested in the map of Ptolemy.
Oh my God. You know what? You know, Garfield?
Mika, isn't that question on the table, Mika? Mika, you talk to him, because I can't talk to him. I can't talk to this Negro. He's an idiot. I can't talk to idiots. I can't talk to liars either. I don't talk to liars and idiots.
Somebody in the chat said he Googled it.
Famod Kana, THAMONDOCANA. Everyone, I just gave you a golden package. You can say thank you later. Now, do your homework on what that word means. Is it a one word? Is it a compound word? What does it mean? Why is it in Timbuktu? Why is it placed in that
God help us. God help us. That shit is crazy. That shit is crazy.
Why we named Ghana Ghana. So when he's saying disgrace or whatever, Kwame Nkrumah is very well aware of my argument. So what's Garfield talking about? He's just chatting rubbish. With your coonery self, bro, you can kick me off, I don't care, but you need to stop acting like that, bro. Get with it, fam. Black people are knowledgeable. We're not stupid. We have got a great part.
Stop. Is the word Ghana on Ptolemy's map?
Yes.
What is the word on Ptolemy's map? Let's go. What's the word on Ptolemy's map? Let's go.
Famod Kana. Like in the abode of Kana.
You spell it? Spell it. Spell the word.
You're asking me to put a foot, bro. It's not adding up. It's not adding up, bro. Garfield, it's not adding up. It's either you're gonna be humble.
Yo, you know what? I got time for you and your ego and my ego at the same time. It's not gonna work because you're an asshole and you don't know shit. So you're telling me a source. I asked you for the word on the account, the word for Ghana on the Ptolemy map. I said spell the word so I could look it up. You can't even tell me that. Then you're trying to whop your chest like, yo, you gonna learn. Learn what, nigga? Cause your dumb fucking ass trying to tell Akan people they come from Israelites is dumb in the first place.
Forget the Israel argument.
No, I'm not forgetting no Israel argument. Why are you running from what you said last week? What's the word? Spell the word and let me look it up so we could have a conversation. But you want some ego trip shit. Because you want to be right. The word Ghana, I don't care what Nkrumah says. I'm talking about where the people who call themselves warrior kings, where did that come from? I got time for all of that, yo. Anyway, listen, I'm out of here, man. I'm out of here. I got time for that. I got a simple question. What's the word on Ptolemy's map? So then you don't want to provide a Ptolemy's map because for whatever reason, you can't provide one. That makes sense. That show it. It don't show it. It don't show it. So if it don't show it, why you keep lying to the people? There's no Ghana on the map. And they gonna say the word is in Timbuktu. Get the fuck out of here, that bullshit.
Back to the drawing board. He's a researcher. Man. That's the word people act. Oh, he put something in the chat. I don't know what that is. Sabia, you want to look up that word?
What word?
The one he has in the chat. You see him? What is it?
Kama is Ghana. That's one of the places that they normally claim is Ghana, but it's not Ghana. It's not a place named nothing. You see, this is why he didn't want to put the name in the first place, because that's one of the claims that the pseudos make. You see, this is the problem. So now you're telling me that's Ghana. Who said that? Who's making that up? Who's making? Show me a scholar that says that back then. Who is saying that back then? This is dumb as rocks, yo. Dumb as rocks. Dumb as rocks. We have the maps. We have the names. It's not Ghana. You're saying it's Ghana. The pseudos are saying it's Ghana. It's not Ghana. That's crazy. There's no Ghana. See, I asked him if the word Ghana is here, so now that word is Ghana. You see how stupid we are, yo? Oh, man.
Somebody say he's from London. Not Ghana. He's from London. And not even East London.
Oh, this nigga on fire today. He on fire. Somebody pissed my boy off.
Who? So I guess
it appears as a coordinate label, not as a kingdom, a city, an ethnic group of people or religion. Ptolemy gives no description beyond coordinates. So how are you saying that's Ghana? Yo, this shit is crazy, yo. And it couldn't be Ghana because there's no Ghana at the time. There's no empire at the time. That's 150 CE. Pritchard smoking, Pritchard.
Well, you had your chance to defeat the almighty Garfield.
There's no Ghana at the time. That's why I know there's no Ghana empire. I couldn't be talking about Ghana. There's no Ghana at the time.
Oh man, Ghana. Yeah, because Garfield Red is the title for king or whatever. But I don't know how you get. I don't know how you connecting it. And you had your chance. I had your back.
People argue Saman Kama sounds like Ghana, Kana, and Canaan. That is folk etymology, not linguistics. There is no Soninke connection, no Mande root, no Arabic corroboration, no continuity of name cross across centuries. Sound alikes does not equal historical identity. Thaman Kama is a speculative inland place name listed by Ptolemy with coordinates only. It is not Ghana, not Ouagadougou, and not evidence of a West African kingdom or people. Taman Kama is a dot on a Roman map, not a civilization.
Wow. A dot.
Ridiculous. Dumb fuck.
I don't see nothing that say Israelite or whatever. So did the Guyana people have like a belief system too?
Yeah, of course. They got a bunch of them. But the issue here is and if you look at the Ghana system with the early kings and what they believed, if you look in Mariah's Faris records, you see that they're writing in African dialect in Arabic is the oldest records that we have from the indigenous people. We have records from them of what they say. They actually contradict the Tariq al-Fatash and Tariq al-Sudan. The indigenous people contradict that. Yo, my research goes beyond the Arabic sources, so I'm not even worried about that per se. But I'll say this again: this is not Ghana. There was no Ghana empire until later on. So how could it be called Ghana or even referring to Ghana or an empire? It's a coordinates. It does have nothing to do with a people, a place, or an empire. So you're making it up as you go, bro. I'm not falling for the okie doke. Garfield ain't falling for it. Other people can, but I won't. I'm not falling for it. Ghana is attested for on the walls of Egypt. This is it right here. He's done. I just need to block him and get him out of my life.
Show it.
You know there, Ghana is attested for on the walls of Egypt right there. I'm done. Kwame, that's your boy.
Oh.
That's your boy. He's an idiot. Anyway, I'm out of here, man. Let me go watch my game. Love y'all, man. Peace and love. I'm glad he did come on though and get a chance to say what he had to say.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, bro, there's no way that's Ghana. I understand why he would say it's Ghana because a pseudo source says it. But if you notice something though, he actually acknowledges a lot of pseudo sources and acknowledges him. I want to fight with those pseudo sources to be Israelites. But then now he's like, oh, forget about Israel because he can't fight for Israel with Garfield. So if you want to fight for Ghana, that's one thing. But now you're saying it's on the walls of Egypt, bro. Bro, you good, man. Hey, have a good day, bro. You're way ahead of me, man. I'm gonna subscribe to your channel. You bet. Yo, I've learned a lot today, man. I'm good.
I learned a lot too.
Yeah, I learned a lot.
Peace and love. Let me go watch my game. Peace and love. Love y'all. Peace.